Two banners straight down from the stand to our left-hand side, lest we forget, in memory of the lads who have played their last game. A minute's silence for Remembrance Weekend. So Nottingham Forest against Newcastle in the Premier League this Sunday afternoon. Forest really are pulling up trees after 10 games. The Magpies remain grounded for now. Can they change that over the course of the next 90 minutes? Former Premier League striker Kevin Nolan is with us this afternoon as well. This could be a really enjoyable game. Good afternoon, Kevin.
Good afternoon, mate. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I must admit, it's one which is, living in the city of Nottingham now, they're really looking forward to it. The fans have been, they're up for it. You can hear it, they've been absolutely fantastic and vocal, very vocal at the beginning. So really looking forward to it. But I think it's going to be a real good test for them and see where they're at, because Newcastle, they need to win, and I think it's more important for Newcastle today.
Well, a spotlight on two managers. Premier League Manager of the Month, Nuno Espirito Santo, and 600 games in management, league management for Eddie Howe this afternoon, who will come out on top at the end of 90 minutes. Forest in red, with the white shorts and red socks, are from left to right in this opening half. And Newcastle, those thick black and white vertical striped shirts, synonymous with the club, black shorts and white socks, are from right to left. Already Morgan Gibbs White trying to make a nuisance of himself on the edge of the penalty area. Down goes Ryan Yates, the Forest captain, and that's given the home side an early free kick here.
Yeah, he's always good. I had JT at Notts County really early on in his career, but he's very good at them, very clever, gets them little nicks and goes down and gets you free kicks and corners and in the right areas. So, and he's going to be a danger as well at the set piece. So yeah, good start from Forest in the final third. We'll see what comes from these set pieces.
Anthony Elanga, former Manchester United man, is over this for Forest on the right hand side, 10 yards outside the penalty area. He bends it in, right-footed goalkeeper chose not to come. It nearly finds one chance and a second one, which Chris Wood was on the follow-up, edge of the 6-yard box. Body's been thrown in the way, the offside flag's up anyway. Dangerous opportunity that for Nottingham Forest. The initial header couldn't be guided on target. Chris Wood was ready to pounce.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's Ryan Yates who gets it. He is offside, but again, he's a nuisance in the box. He gets there. He has got that knack of getting a goal here and there. But yeah, good start by Forest. Newcastle now going to settle it down, try and settle this crowd down. As I said, they've been very vocal early on. What they'll want to do now, Newcastle, is quiet the crowd and work their way back into the game.
Well, Forest have just won one of their last 12 Premier League games against Newcastle, a 3-1 win at St James's Park last season. Chris Wood got a hat-trick in that game. It was away victories for both sides last year on respective territories, as Nick Pope sends the ball long over the halfway line towards this near side. That's Newcastle's left. Header from Joe Linton. Elanga on the halfway line gets right underneath that ball, heads it out towards the far side. Alex Moreno. Guimaraes back in control for Newcastle, who fumbled it forward, but not for much longer. Now it's Chris Wood's turn to cushion the header down out towards that left-hand side, where Callum Hudson-Odoi will try and venture down the touchline. He can't. Newcastle, though, to the halfway line, lose it, get it back. A little bit scrappy and untidy from the Magpies.
Yeah, lots of turnovers at the moment from both Forest and Newcastle. Just need someone to sort of settle them down, sort of get on the ball and get this game moving. But at the minute, yeah, lots of turnovers.
Games involving Newcastle, fewest in the Premier League this season. 0-0 here after 2.5 minutes. 20 goals. They've scored 10 and conceded 10, Eddie Howe's side. Forest games aren't a million miles away, only 21 goals in those games, as a long ball is played forward. Ole Aina able to comfortably knock that back to his goalkeeper Matt Sells, and the goalkeeper, bit of a positive praise on him. He's part of that Forest change in the summer that has just seen them have a little bit more consistency at the back and a little bit more solidity too. And goals may win you games, but it's the defence that can propel you up the league. Here come Newcastle trying to break that Forest defence with a low ball from Willock, seen behind as it ran across the 6-yard box by Alex Moreno. Corner kick.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, when I was here in the Carabao Cup early on in the season, Willock was a real problem to me. He ended up going off quite early on, and that sort of derailed Newcastle, but he was a real thorn in Forest side, and you just seen it there, and that was where he was a thorn, going down that left hand side, and a great ball in, but well defended by Moreno in the end.
Scored after a matter of seconds in that League Cup tie. 1-1 it finished, Newcastle won on penalties. Corner far side then to the Magpies, in at the near post, headed away by Alex Moreno and then hooked back in by Tina Livramento. Bounces and Aina will just try and shield that from Cher, hoping the ball bounces over the line. It just slows up too much. Aina plays it off Cher in the end, wins Nottingham Forest, throwing deep in the corner inside their own half.
Yeah, I mean, poor ball. Lewis Hall won't be happy with the delivery. Obviously, it's the first man. Livramento, it's one of those balls when you're a defender, you're thinking, oh no, because you know it's not going to go out and you've got to sort of deal with it, but in the end, Aina dealt with it really well, got himself a throw-in.
Already been in the wars, his Under Armour a little bit ripped on his left arm there, just above the elbow. As Forest come down the right-hand side, ball takes a deflection, won't carry it into the path then of Anthony Elanga. Ryan Yates in on the back of Joe Willock, and that will be a free kick to Newcastle, right in front of the manager, Eddie Howe, hands in pockets, the quilted winter jacket on. A little bit of a chill in the air of the East Midlands. Dan Burn, the captain of Newcastle, just moves it out towards this near side where Lewis Hall can find Joe Linton. Back to Hall it goes. Newcastle right to left in the opening 45 minutes. Dan Burn, not the only player one card away from suspension. Few of them out on the pitch for Newcastle today. Cher is one, so is Joe Linton. As Newcastle bend an early delivery in towards Willock in the penalty area from the right hand side. Forest are able to clear it away, and can they now set themselves free? Morgan Gibbs White up to the centre circle, clattered by Dan Burn, and now the attention will be on the yellow cards and possibly that game suspension that he faces if he is booked this afternoon. Referee just wants a stricken Newcastle player on the edge of the Forest penalty area, looked at as well by the physios. Huge boos around the City ground, Kevin Nolan. Should Dan Burn have gone in the book there?
Yeah, well, I think what it was, the boos are because he hasn't given him a yellow card yet. I think he will go back to it, but he's just checking on, I think, who's down at the minute. It looks like it's Livramento who's down at the minute, and I think he said he's got an elbow, so something what they'll probably look at on VAR, but I think he will go back and give Dan Burn which will be a rightful yellow card, but I think he just wants to check that Livramento's fine at the minute.
No doubt then that it is a yellow card in your mind?
No doubt, no. He knew what he was doing, Dan Burn. He stopped the counter-attack. There was a real good counter-attack, and obviously Gibbs White. But here you go, as you said, here you go. So made the Forest fans happy anyway.
Hence the cheers in the background whilst Kevin was talking there. So that means Dan Burn misses the first game back after the international break for Newcastle United. It has taken him just 6 minutes to pick up that booking. The warning was there, and as Gibbs White tried to break free down the middle, he'd already wriggled past Bruno Guimaraes, and Dan Burn took one for the team. Yeah, of course, and that's it. It's just sort of stopping the momentum of an attack, because he knew that he was in a bit of trouble. You know, you've got Elanga then on one side, Hudson-Odoi with the pace they've got. That's where they're going to be a real threat. So Dan Burn took one for the team. He took a yellow card, but he's going to be suspended now. 0-0 then after 7 minutes here at the City ground this afternoon. Tina Livramento is still just receiving a little bit of treatment out there from the physios, which will be a concern. So already in the first 7 minutes they've got a centre back on a booking, and their right back for Newcastle has taken a heavy knock here as well. Yeah, I think what's happened is he's come together in a sort of contact with Ryan Yates. He's sort of saying it was a loose elbow, but when you actually look back, it's not. He's just, Yates has caught him, but it's not meant, if you know what I mean. So he's not happy, obviously, because he's gone down. He's got a thick lip, bit of blood on there, but it's what you have to do, and you take them. Well, the referee has wanted him to go off. He pointed over to this near side where the dugouts are, which is actually the opposite side to where Tino Livramento needs to be in his right back position. So he has gone off the field, but he's in line, ready to run straight back on at right back on that far side. So Nottingham Forest here, 0-0 as they are, have a free kick. It is a high line from Newcastle, 20 yards away from the ball, and that's it. Yeah, very high line, and this is something what you'll see with Newcastle. They do have that high line, so something which Forest will try and negate by going wide, which they tried and failed. Murillo chasing sent the ball over towards Elanga on this near side, and It was just out of play for a throw-in straight away. A waste of a free kick from Nottingham Forest. 9 minutes played, 0-0. Manchester United against Leicester. Your commentary on BBC Radio 5 Live this afternoon. We've also got Spurs against Ipswich on the BBC Sport website and app. More Premier League football than anybody else on 5 Live. And if you haven't heard this week, BBC Radio 5 Live has secured the new audio rights deal with the Premier League for even more commentaries than ever before over the next 4 seasons. So make sure, if you haven't already, got the BBC Sounds app downloaded, and that's where each week you'll be able to hear those commentaries. Dan Burn in possession just outside his own penalty area, near side the left of Newcastle in this first half. No real major chances for either side yet. Certainly got no goalkeeper called into action, as Aina will chase the ball ahead of Joe Linton on this near side and then go down as he played a quick triangular bit of play. No foul given, and a throw into Newcastle midway inside the Forest half, near side their left.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention Milenkovic. I think he's been a real good addition. You mentioned Matt Sells and the clean sheets that the keeper at the minute, but he's been a real good addition. He's got a real good partnership with Murillo, and you see him there. He's just put the ball out to play after trying a 1-2 with Aina, but he's been massive. As you can see him now, he's really commanding, getting them up, keeping that back 4 high line, and making sure that his teammates are with him. So been a real massive addition for Forest this season.
And the 4 clean sheets so far in the Premier League this season already equalled their total number of clean sheets from last season. They have really sorted that out. Here come Newcastle though, looking to breach. Sent away, low balling from the right hand side. Now Chris Wood is back trying to help out his team. It's pinged out towards the near side. Joe Linton will be first to it, lays it back to Lewis Hall. Joe Linton through on the left-hand side. Aina will go with him. Joe Linton to the byline, sends in a deep cross over Anthony Gordon at the back post. It might fall though kindly for Joe Willock, who shifts it onto his left foot, gets the shot away. Wide of the left-hand post. Sells was just a passenger on that one, flat-footed on his goal line. Thankfully, from Forest's perspective, it is wide of the left-hand post as we look at it. Yeah, good try, good effort from Willock again. As I said, he was a thorn in the side in the last game. Seems to be the one now who could unlock this Forest defence at this moment in time. I thought it was a poor header though from Hudson-Odoi. Just tried to overplay instead of clearing his lines, and that sometimes that overplay give them the best opportunity of the match. He's certainly Newcastle's brightest moment. Joe Willock at the minute looking lively. Again, Sells' clearance is poor, and that allows Newcastle to take control just outside of the centre circle. Anthony Gordon, though, tackled by Nicolas Dominguez and cleared by Forest. Newcastle here, last couple of minutes or so. We've played 12 minutes, it is 0-0, but last couple of minutes, getting more control, the Magpies. Yeah, just starting to gain a bit of control. As I said, it was a bit scrappy in the first half, lots of turnovers, but now they're starting to pass the ball around, starting to find spaces, and also on that turnover, they're finding real good chances. So, yeah, just starting to get a hold of the game, Newcastle now. Eddie Howe here is down on one knee inside his technical area. I'd have thought pitch side, you're a coach, Kevin, it's a bad enough view to see what's happening across the pitch anyway. Why on earth would you go even lower? No, I think he was probably disappointed because it was a bit of a shanker of a ball, but it ended up going to Joe Linton from Shah. But I think he went down, when you're at that pitch view, it's so different to when you're watching it out here. You see everything, but it is difficult. But as you say, him dropping down on knees not going to help him. Pep Guardiola does that as well, I've noticed at times. Completely lowers any limit. It always seems to be when it's wrong as well, though. Someone's done something wrong, Nothing yet going too wrong for Newcastle. 0-0 and in control of the possession on a ground that they are favourable on. They've won their last 3 visits here to the City ground. Can equal their longest top flight away winning streak against a single opponent, which is 4, which they also did against Nottingham Forest back in the early stages of the 20th century. 4 away wins in a row at Crystal Palace across the mid-90s and noughties, and also have 4 away wins in a row in the last 5 years at Fulham as well. Dan Burn in possession, just to the left-hand side of the centre circle. Goalless so far at the City ground. Flicked on, looking for the run of Alexander Isak that never came. Here's Newcastle's opportunity to defend now as Hudson-Odoi gets it out towards the left-hand side on the touchline, brings it infield, nicely done. Here's Morgan Gibbs right, central. Trying to get Forest forward, but didn't really have the options out there. He's passed it short instead. Now onto this near side right. Elanga back to Aina. Forest here after not seeing much of the ball for the last 5 minutes or so, and now just enjoying a steady period of possession.
Yeah, I think it was really important that they didn't sort of let Newcastle gain momentum, and that's what they've done. They just took the sting out of Newcastle. Newcastle now lying deep in their half in sort of a mid to low block, and Forest just knocking it about and just trying to gain a bit of ball control and get the game back into their hands.
Here's Ryan Yates. Aina. Elanga by the touchline in front of Eddie Howe. Espirito Santo, long navy coat on, knee-length coat, arms folded, watching on the Premier League Manager of the Month for October. He's only lost 1-9 against Newcastle. That's a wild ball fired from Morgan Gibbs-White out to the right-hand side. It was nowhere near Anthony Elanga, and that's given Newcastle a goal kick. Yeah, really ambitious ball, but he just got it completely wrong, and that's why it's gone for a goal kick and nowhere near Anthony Elanga. But he apologises right away. You knew the intention was there to try and get Elanga one-on-one, getting at Lewis Hall. It's a goal kick for Newcastle away to our right-hand side. Nick Pope, one of only 2 players in the Newcastle squad to play every minute of every Premier League game so far this season. Dan Burn the other. And Dan Burn may continue that record today, but with his yellow card, that will soon end. He'll be suspended for the first game back after the international break. Trying to find Hudson-Odoi on the left-hand side, unsuccessfully so. So Nick Pope back in possession. Dan Burn to Lewis Miley on the near side, Lewis Hall rather, on the left-hand side, and now forward come Newcastle up towards the halfway line. Long ping ball out towards this near side, looking for Joe Linton, just floats too close to the chest of Ola Aina. Elanga nearly tying himself in knots, and Willock is making himself a nuisance. Alexander Isak is there to help him out as well. Willock just away from the corner of the Forest 18-yard box. Guimaraes back through to Willock again, into the penalty area. A little shuffle and a turn, sends it up to the back post. It might fall for Anthony Gordon, who on the volley let the ball drop but smashes it over the crossbar. Wasted chance for Newcastle. It is still 0-0. Yeah, I mean, again, it's them winning it high up in that final third. Aina with a poor pass. Willock got hold of it. Isak, nice little bit of play between Willock again. Lovely feet, lovely turns Milenkovic, who's been really good, but made him look really slow there. And a lovely little ball. Gordon should do better, at least hit the target. Not scored since September in a 1-1 draw against Manchester City as Anthony Gordon. Lewis Hall heads that out of play. It is a little flat around the City ground at the minute. Yeah, I said earlier, I think this will suit Newcastle, because the Forest fans have come here expecting they want to win the third in the league. They've got big ideas now. They want to be in the top 3 again. They want to be a point behind Man City come the end of the day. They're expecting it, so they're sort of just waiting for it to happen. And I think they're going to have to keep getting behind Nottingham Forest and making sure that they're with them. So yeah, good for Newcastle, not so good for Forest at the minute. Maybe this is their chance to make some noise. Chris Wood, with his back to goal, just plays it back to the edge of the centre circle. Forest have now worked it out to this near side right. Elanga with Hall and Joe Linton in close proximity to him. Aina can't feed the ball through. Willock with the interception, comes off the Forest right back last. So that's going to be a throw into Newcastle. 0-0, 17 minutes played. No goals in any of the 2 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League so far. Yeah, it was a good little bit of possession for Forest, and Aina was a bit sloppy again. He had an easy pass out to Elanga and then go sort of try and work a 2v1, but he doesn't try to go inside and gives the ball away, and then obviously has to then kick the ball out to give Newcastle back possession. So yeah, just a little bit sloppy by Aina over the last couple of minutes. Chelsea Arsenal to come from 4 o'clock. There's been some big games in the Premier League this weekend. This is one of them. Newcastle looking to climb up the table, currently in the bottom half after the weekend results so far. Nottingham Forest could end the weekend and head into the third international break of the season in the Champions League places. The top 4 before the start of play today was Liverpool and Manchester City, that you might expect. And Nottingham Forest in third. Brighton, with their win over Manchester City yesterday, hit the heady heights of 4th. Newcastle coming forward. Guimaraes pokes it through for Joe Linton. The 2 bleach blonde dyed haired players in Newcastle United working together. Here's Sean Langstaff. Bruno Fernandes has put Manchester United a goal up against Leicester City for the first goal in the 2 o'clock kickoffs this afternoon. Ruud van Nistelrooy's final game in Inter in charge of the Reds as well, before Ruben Amorim officially starts tomorrow. Nice work down the far side by Hudson-Odoi, gets to the byline, swings across in. Anthony Elanga was winding up his left boot to connect there. Nicked away by Newcastle, but Forest have managed to win it back, keep it alive. Here's Aina onto the right of the penalty area, feeds in a narrow ball for Yates, who will try and squeeze it across goal. Pope Smothers claims the double deflection. Corner kick to Forest given.
Yeah, Hudson-Odoi does really well, doesn't he, on that left hand side, gets the ball in. Guimaraes with the head. Willett can't keep it because the Nottingham Forest players drown them out. He got him out. Dominguez then regains the ball, gets it out to Aina, and it's a lovely little ball, lovely little pass, his best pass, and better from him, which gets Yates in behind the back four, and Nick Pope has to come out. And
so from the near side, the right, Anthony Elanga with this corner, right-footed, out-swinging delivery in at the near post. It will drop to Aina though, with the header away from Newcastle on the corner of the penalty area. Elanga has stayed out wide. He fakes one cross. Oh, he's caught really late by Joe Willock there. I think he'd actually kicked the ball further than he could reach Anthony Elanga, but it was the speed of which Joe Willock collided, clattered into him, and that's given Forest a free kick just outside the penalty area.
Yeah, that's one of them. Joe Willock's gone and he's obviously committed, and Elanga's just got there, knocked it through his legs, and as he's gone to go round him, Willock couldn't get out the way, but he's not going to let him go past him anyway, so he's going to take one again, as we say, take one for the team, but in another yellow card. Elanga was just too quick for him.
20 minutes played, 0-0, but another good chance from a set piece for Forest to take the lead here at the City Ground. Elanga preparing for the delivery again. It is a yard outside the box, if that, 5 yards from the byline, out on this right hand side. Newcastle have everybody back. Elanga dinks it in, header is down and in, and Nottingham Forest have taken the lead, pouncing in the 6-yard box, downward header, and Nuno's men continue their fine run. They lead. The header comes from Murillo. It's Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle 0.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was a fantastic little bit of play earlier on with Elanga. He gets the free kick, it's in a dangerous part, and it's about getting across your men, and that's what Murillo does. He's on the move. Newcastle got a real high line, but he gets across his man, and that's what he does. Because he's on the move, there's no chance for the defender. He's attacking it, and he attacks that ball, and it's a fantastic header. But they are having a little bit of complaint here. Nick Pope's going running out. I don't know what it is. I'm trying to work out what he's moaning about. But for me, it's a fantastic goal, fantastic run by Murillo, great ball by Elanga, and a great goal.
The only thing I can think he's complaining about, Nick Pope, is the initial corner, of which then resulted in the free kick, because he wasn't happy that it had gone out for a corner. But how about that? Nottingham Forest in the Champions League places, enjoying their football this season. Right-footed from Elanga on the free kick, downward header from Murillo inside the 6-yard box. He really pounced on that, and Forest lead.
Yeah, exactly what they would have wanted, what this crowd expected. You can hear them now, they'll be up. This is what Newcastle didn't want. So it's really important now, the next 10-15 minutes, Newcastle try and get themselves back in this game, make sure that it doesn't go further behind, and try and silence this Nottingham Forest fans, because when these get going, this team really does bubble.
Well, the City Ground has now come alive. Newcastle had kept Forest quiet for a large part of this first half so far. We're at the midway point, and it's Forest who lead by a goal to 0. I guess the message from Eddie Howe is actually probably continue as you were.
Yeah, exactly that. I think that's it for Newcastle. They're probably now got to open up a bit more, but what I will say, as you can hear, it's going to electrify in the atmosphere in here now, and these fans will be right behind Forest. They'll sit now in that mid block and be ready to pounce with the likes of Morgan Gibbs-White, Elanga and Hudson-Odoi on the side for them counter-attack. So really important now that Newcastle remain focused and get back into their game plan.
Yeah, the sound reverberating off the corrugated metal roofs. This stadium steeped in history, with its I was going to say 4 individual stands, but the one behind the goal to our right hand side does sweep onto the far side, the Brian Clough stand that is. Newcastle advancing deep into the Nottingham Forest half on the right hand side. Forest 1, Newcastle United 0, on a really big day in the Premier League, and what this can do for Forest heading into the international break. I guess almost they won't want the international break, given the momentum. Long range shot, saved by Sells. It came from Gimaraj. He had to leap in the air. The Nottingham Forest goalkeeper diving down to his right hand side, parries it away. It's gone out for a corner.
Yeah, again, it's them regaining the ball in the final third, Newcastle. That's where they've looked the most dangerous, and then they've had the nice little bits of play in between with a lovely little bit of movement and play. Willock just lays it off to Gimaraj, who tries to then bend it with his left foot into the far corner. Nice save from Sells, but one you'd expect him to make.
Needed him at full stretch almost, the Belgian. 2 clean sheets in his last 5 games. He's keeping one for now. Back heel comes, low ball in. The corner initially worked short between Hall and Gordon. Cleared away by Forest, and Newcastle now have to settle for a throw in. They're a goal down. 24 minutes played at the City Ground this Sunday lunchtime. Floating ball out to the right hand side. Here is Cher, controls it, takes it past one nicely. Now needs to find an option. He probably didn't expect to find himself in that position. Ran out of ideas. Throwing given to Newcastle on the far right hand side.
Yeah, it's the typical centre half when you're up there after the corner and you remain, and the momentum of the attack stays on, and then you find yourself up there and you get a bit of a nosebleed, but does well, gets them a throw in the final third, which Newcastle have been really dangerous when they've got in there.
Forest lead by a goal to nil. They've scored the opening goal in their Premier League games for the 10th time in 11 matches this season. That's a league high, as you'd expect. Can they hold on to it? Newcastle trying to get back level in this game. Joe Linton on the left-hand side to the corner of the penalty area, right-footed, in-swinging ball. Looking to the player in the middle there. That was Sean Longstaff. He was the most advanced of anyone in a black and white shirt. Newcastle see the ball cleared away though by Forest, who have it in the left-back position with Alex Moreno. He sent one for Hudson-Odoi to chase. Cher now back in his centre-back position. Should be able to mop that up. Gives it to Nick Pope. Here's Dan Burn inside the Newcastle penalty area, away to our right. 1-0 to Forest. 20 minutes to go in this first half. But it is Newcastle. We mentioned going back to as they were, getting that control back in the game. And since going behind, they've done that.
Yeah, I think they've got ball control, but what they aren't doing at this minute in time is sort of getting in behind Nottingham Forest, which is what they're trying to do here now with Joe Linton. But what I will say is that Forest has now gone into that mid to low block, and they'll be ready and happy to do that and hit them on the counter. So really important time for Newcastle now not to overextend.
Aina wins the ball back, and Elanga tried to feed in Morgan Gibbs-White, and Forest would have been off there, but Newcastle intercept, and it's their turn now to maybe, with Forest out of position, work something. Willock left of the penalty area will try and pull it across goal. The bodies are back for Forest, behind for another Newcastle corner.
Yeah, Joe Willock again. He's been the thorn. He'll be the thorn on the side, as I said, in that Carabao Cup, just on that left hand side, and he obviously sees that he can be a problem to Nottingham Forest. Does well. Should probably do better, in fact, because he sort of turns the 80 inside out, but just doesn't get the right contact, but gets the side of the corner.
Enjoying a run of games, Joe Willock. It's his 9th Premier League appearance of the season. He only made 9 across the whole of last season, slightly hampered by injury. So Newcastle corner. Some Forest fans aren't happy with something they've seen in the penalty area. Anthony Gordon over this one near side the left. It is a left-footed in-swinging delivery into the heart of the 6-yard box, but headed away. Hall tries to win the first ball out of the box. Does that, but only heads it to Moreno. And clears it down this near side. Hudson-Odoi can't get there. And here is Hall again for Newcastle United, who trail Nottingham Forest by a goal to nil. Reminder, Manchester United lead Leicester 1-0. Still Spurs 0. Ipswich 0. You can listen to that on the BBC Sport website and app. And if you want to listen back to that goal from Nottingham Forest, you can rewind and play that back on BBC Sounds right now. Murillo's header has given them a 1-0 lead. An anti-Elanga free kick crossed in from the right hand side. Murillo's down a header was in. Maybe it's Newcastle's turn to score from a set piece. They've just won one. A free kick 10 yards outside the right corner of the penalty area. Yeah, I mean, they've just had the corner there. Anthony Gordon, there was a lovely floated ball in, which Dan Burn just got under. It was really close with it was a real good run, but he's just a bit too high for him. So now Newcastle's starting to put a little bit of pressure on Forest. Forest has now got to start trying to regain the momentum back and get back into the game, but real good opportunity here for Newcastle. Gordon is over this, as is Lewis Hall. It'll either be the right of Gordon or the left boot of Hall, you would imagine. Forest have everyone but Hudson-Odoi inside the penalty area. Even he's on the edge of the 18-yard box. In goes the free kick. Joe Linton rises highest, gets under the ball, but in doing so heads it simply over the bar.
Yeah, just a bit different. I was talking about Murillo earlier. When he's coming, he's still coming onto the ball there. Joe Linton's sort of going. He's already in there and ends up jumping to try and head it, and that's why it ends up with coming off the top of his head and going over the bar. But with Murillo, he was coming onto the ball, so his run was still coming, and that's why the momentum took him where he could use the head to get it down.
Nearly half an hour played. Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle 0. That's the voice of the former Premier League striker Kevin Nolan with us on 5 Sports Extra this afternoon. Elanga chested it onto the chest of Lewis Hall and Newcastle, and the Magpies back in control. It has finished in the Championship, the Steel City derby. The bragging rights are with Sheffield United. This afternoon they have won by a 1-0 over local rivals Sheffield Wednesday. Here it is Forest who lead Newcastle by the same scoreline. Dan Burn just knocking it to his right hand side, almost on the halfway line for Fabian Schär. Using Anthony Gordon, bypassing Livramento, back into the Newcastle half. Burn has fired that down the middle. Any touch that Isak was going to get was always feared to be heavy. And now Elanga in on the right hand side, fed through by Chris Wood, who's still trying to wait for the penalty area. Elanga with the shot that takes a deflection, loops to the back post. Easy catch for Nick Pope, who instantly wants to set Newcastle on their way and give Gordon the chase, but it's goalkeeper to goalkeeper. It bounces into the Forest penalty area. Matt Sells gathers.
Yeah, exactly what I was speaking about, on that counter-attack, and you've seen Chris Wood just come off his man, Dan Burn, plays it inside Lewis Murray, gets Elanga out, he gets a one-on-one, tries to get a shot off. That counter-attack, which is going to be a real big thing for Newcastle to keep their eye on, and also it's probably going to be the biggest thing for Forest going forward.
Dominguez onto the left-hand side, Gibbs White trying to force it through a gap and find Alex Moreno, who advanced forward from left back. Didn't work successfully. Newcastle back in control. 14 minutes to the break. It's Forest who lead by a 1-0. Guimaraes over the halfway line, just allowed a little bit too much space for Forest fans' comfort, and smacked away in the end by Dominguez, intercepted by Livramento. Here's Anthony Gordon. He's got 2 on the overlap of him on the right hand side, uses one of them in Longstaff, and just played back towards Guimaraes on the corner of the penalty area. Here's Livramento. Crossing is a good one. 3 Newcastle players on the edge of the 6-yard box, but no one can get a header on it. Back comes Elanga to defend. Newcastle will have a corner.
Yeah, another good little bit of play from Newcastle on that right hand side. Good ball in. They dealt with it well, Forest, but what they can't do is start letting Newcastle gain this momentum and start putting balls in the box. What they've got to do is try and get the game back, and it's really important over the next 10-15 minutes, certainly going into half time. But another corner for Newcastle, who have started to look dangerous on these set pieces.
Well, Anthony Gordon's going to take this corner near side the left, in front of the Forest fans in the stand to our left hand side. Gordon, 2 arms raised in the air again, right footed delivery, headed up in the air, certainly not away. Dan Burn's going to get there first, and then the volley comes in from Isak, blocked by a defender, didn't quite come back to the Swede, and now Forest trying to break away with Hudson-Odoi. It's won fairly by Hall, knocked down by Guimaraes. It'll come to Longstaff, didn't want to take on the shot there, near angle, saved by Sells, right hand side, needed to be, away by Murillo. Is that Dan Burn in there taking the shot on for Newcastle United?
Exactly that again. The centre half finds herself still up there off the corner, ends up going. Lovely bit of play between Joe Linton and was it Longstaff, but he laid it off, and it was to Dan Burn's right foot instead of his left, and that's why we didn't see probably the outcome of it in the back of the net. So really disappointed they didn't get a goal there, Newcastle, but a good little bit of play.
Yeah, he went for goal on target, needed a save from Sells. Is Joe Linton on the right hand side. Have him and Gordon swapped, or is that just a leftover from the corner a few moments ago? We'll wait and see a little bit longer on that one. Joe Linton now on the right for the minute, Anthony Gordon on the left. 12 minutes to half time. Newcastle chasing an equaliser in this game. They trail by a 1-0. Here's Willock towards the left corner of the box. Will move back infield. Has the overlap of Lewis Hall. Uses him. then gets it back, rolls it under his right boot, arcing ball towards the back post. The header isn't the best one from Moreno, gives Newcastle a chance to cross in from the right hand side. It might fall for Guimaraes in the penalty area. The cross came in from Joe Linton. Guimaraes twisting and turning on the right hand side, back out wide. Joe Linton fires it in, takes a deflection, Sells punches away almost on his goal line, hooked away by Elanga as well. Little bit scrambled this from Nottingham Forest. Newcastle have the ball.
Yeah, I mean, Newcastle now have pegged them in, and it's really important that I was talking about Forest trying to gain momentum back, trying to get the ball. You can hear this crowd now trying to help them out, but it's just been a little bit sloppy, as you said. Moreno with a bit of a header, which give them a little bit more chance to attack, but this is where they're going to hurt them on the counter attack. If not, see the counter attack's over and keep the ball going.
Here come Forest right hand side, ball pinged across to the near for Elanga to run towards the penalty area. Still Elanga, step overs, plays it back post. Hudson-Odoi was waiting, but the ball never came to him. Morgan gives White to. It was well past Chris Wood. It was behind Chris Wood, in fact. Here's Ola Aina for Nottingham Forest, who now again just need a little moment of calm, because it has become all about Newcastle United once again. Ryan Yates, right hand side, feeds it into the channel for Elanga, tries to snatch in the cross, but he can't. It's blocked off, and here's Guimaraes, and Newcastle will now move it away. Cher needs options. He's just holding out his palm saying, come on, help me out. Willock sees it out of play. Nottingham Forest throw.
Yeah, Ryan Yates has done really well. He stopped the counter attack from Newcastle. Then after Elanga went on, he stopped that with Willock. Then he's just sort of closed the game down a bit, just made it all go a bit more slow. What they need now, and just to try and gain that momentum, gain that control back, because at the time Newcastle are now starting to try and gain momentum. They're getting the momentum. Forest have got to try and claim it back, and that's what they've done here, and it's really good play by Ryan Yates to do it.
Ball boy hands Aina a towel so he can wipe the ball, dry it off, get the best grip possible. This is a long throw in towards the near post from the right hand side, headed away from the Newcastle defence. Taken on the chest though, and the ball that pinged back up into the air by Aina, and Forest have the possession just outside the centre circle. Nicolas Dominguez to Moreno, and out towards the far side touchline, where he'll play a quick one to Moreno and get it back. The Spaniard, signed from Aston Villa in the summer, left back today for Nottingham Forest, who lead by a goal to nil. 9 minutes to half time. 5 Sports Extra live from the City Ground on BBC Radio 5 Live. You've got United, who lead Leicester by a goal to nil, and on the BBC Sport website and app you've got commentary of Spurs against Ipswich, where the Tractor Boys have just taken a 1-0 lead. Here come Forest, looking for Chris Wood on the left hand side of the penalty area. Low ball in, seen behind. It will be a Forest corner.
Yeah, really good little piece of play there, and it started as we spoke about earlier with Ryan Yates, and now you know, just gaining a little bit of control, got the ball, playing it in their half, being in Newcastle's half. A lovely ball by Murillo, which Moreno done really well to flick on and then get on into his own flick on, which gets them now a corner. And obviously they've been really good at the set pieces this afternoon, so again another worry for Newcastle, but really good from Nottingham Forest over the last minute or two.
Sammy Smodics with that goal for Ipswich, by the way, who lead at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Spurs, who had a difficult game Thursday night in Galatasaray. Corner comes in, headed by Gibbs White, who was attacking the near post but flicks his header on high over the bar. It remains Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle 0.
Yeah, again, first contact from Nottingham Forest, so they'll be pleased by that. But again, he got there and he was already in there, so it's sort of, that's how he hasn't, the momentum wasn't taking him onto the ball was sort of coming onto him, and that's why you see it go high and wide.
So Nottingham Forest leading. They haven't beaten Newcastle since the 9th of May 1987, when Colin Foster and Stuart Pearce scored here at the City Ground. Paul Gascoigne scored for Newcastle. A 2-1 win for Forest that day, just one of their last 11. Forest have a miserable record, but they are winning here, and it's a win that will keep them third in the Premier League over the international break, unless Newcastle can find an equaliser here. The answer is no. Livramento trying to feed it into Longstaff, who'd made the run into the right of the penalty area. Cleared away, out for a Newcastle throw with 7 minutes to half time. 5 Sports Extra live from the City Ground, overcast City Ground, mild enough given that we're almost in mid-November. Here's Anthony Gordon for Newcastle. Again, the City ground just hushed a little bit with Newcastle in so much control. Gordon can't find Longstaff inside the penalty area, and again Forest will try and break away on the counter-attack. In fact, they've worked that brilliantly with Gibbs-White and Chris Wood combining now. Anthony Elanga right-hand side, slows up his run, stops the ball dead on the right-hand side. Chris Wood had made his way towards the edge of the penalty area. Here's Gibbs-White, here's Ola Aina.
Yeah, again, the counter-attack, it was over, and they realised that, Forest, and that's really good, because now to gain momentum, they want to keep now the ball, keep trying to play, get that momentum back off Newcastle, but that's where they're going to be the biggest threat, on that counter-attack with the front four, what they've got today.
Here's Cher just striding across the halfway line. It's about 10 yards inside the Forest half, then just knocks it into the centre circle for Dan Burn. Lewis Hall, Joe Linton back on the left hand side, so that was only a temporary switch. Hall bends it in, headed away by Milenkovic, who is one of those impressive sets of summer signings from Fiorentina. Challenge goes in, Newcastle free kick just outside the penalty area on the right hand side. In fact, very, very similar position to where Elanga fired in his free kick for Murillo's header, which gives Forest this 1-0 lead. Yeah, I mean, it's a lovely little bit of play. Newcastle went from left to right. Clearance comes out to Livramento, and he has a lovely little bit of link-up play with it was the 36 Longstaff again. Lovely little 1-2. Gets him down the side, and Hudson-Odoi does well to sort of track his man, but then gives a silly free kick out just outside the box. So dangerous position for Newcastle. Forest starting to get worried, and you can hear the anxiety in this Forest crowd as well. Livramento just holding the bottom left side of his back as he clambers to his feet. 5 minutes to the break, and it's Nottingham Forest holding on to a 1-0 lead, but a dangerous Newcastle free kick. Can they do from this set piece what Forest did a little bit earlier with that goal from Murillo? Gordon over it, hands on hips, right hand side, 5-10 yards from the byline, a yard outside the box. Gordon whips it in near post, didn't get any height on it, and invited Forest to be able to clear it, which they did with Moreno, who I think caught that a little bit wrong. He was hobbling for a minute. Sells though, catches it in the penalty area, and Forest trying to go into the Newcastle half with a little bit of momentum. Taken away from Anthony Elanga. Newcastle back in control. Yeah, it was actually Lewis Hall who was taking the free kick and trying to whip it, so it was a bit different. Elanga went out with the out swinger, they went with an in swinger, but he just didn't get it right. Lewis Hall is poor play. Anthony Gordon just nutmegged by Olaina as Forest get to the halfway line. He's ball in field into the centre circle, takes a deflection, still carries on into the path though of Morgan Gibbs-White. Here's Murillo. Hudson-Odoi advancing. Wood gets himself into the penalty area, laid back, Gibbs-White. Now he's going to send it to the back post for Chris Wood. Dan Burn read it well, heads it away. It'll drop for Ryan Yates, 30 yards from the Newcastle goal, and he's looking back towards the halfway line as well. Forest leading by a goal to nil. Manchester United have got a second. Bruno Fernandes again, his second of the game as they lead Leicester by 2-0. Commentary on BBC Radio 5 Live of that one. Here come Forest, laid to the corner of the penalty area. Gibbs-White, is he going to go for goal? Headed away by Cher on the edge of his 6-yard box. Isak's going to be under a little bit of pressure here from Murillo. Wants to try and get the pace, the Swede, as he breaks away and does, evades the challenge, the sliding challenge of Murillo. Gordon foul. Forest felt they could come forward there. Anthony Taylor had other ideas. Newcastle free kick. Yeah, he bought the foul really well there, Anthony Gordon. He realised that he kicked the ball back to Forest and was going to put them on a counter-attack. Yatey had just given him a little kick on the ankle, and he went down really easily. But yeah, bought the foul, and it was a foul, but something what he didn't really need to do, Yatey. 2.5 minutes to go this first half, plus whatever is added on. Here is Joe Linton, right corner of the penalty area, just outside it. Bruno Guimaraes now lays it off to Livramento. The cross has got to be a good one, headed away by Ryan Yates, who I really can't think of many blades of grass he probably hasn't covered so far this afternoon. Willock, as the ball is pushed out towards the left-hand side, dances up against Aina. Now Willock down from behind, may appeal for the penalty that'll never come. Yeah, he seems as if he thinks it is a penalty, but here you go. Forest on the counter with Elanga. He's just slowed it up a little bit. Wood was trying to get in a promising position from one end to the other. Here's Hudson-Odoi, and it has just now calmed down a little bit. Slowly, Willett gets to his feet and jogs back into his own half. Forest have the possession out on the far side left as we look at it in the opening 45 minutes, of which now only 90 seconds remain. Forest leading. Here's Moreno out to that far side again. Gibbs, White, Hudson-Odoi, Dominguez all on that far side touchline. Ipswich have just doubled their lead at Spurs, by the way. BBC Sport website and app for that one. Forest have given it away. Isak coming forward, fancies his pace. He's round one, past two. I think Murillo just about recovered that well enough. Isak goes down, but Murillo won the ball.
Yeah, I mean, poor play again by Forest, just a bit of sloppiness, and Isak went one-on-one with Murillo, tried to knock it one way and go round him, and Murillo doing what good defenders do, got his body in the way, kept the ball, and then gets them out of it. And it's been really good for Forest over the last 3 or 4 minutes, getting themselves in a good place. And now you see this is what they want. Forest, they want to stop the game, they want it to get a bit nasty, they want it to be all stop and start, so that they can get into that half time with a 1-0 lead.
A little bit of handbags between Morgan Gibbs-White and Joe Linton on that far side. A little bit of pushing and shoving, which
you see the Forest fans love it, because Milenkovic gets over there, Ryan Yates gets over, they're all pushing and shoving, and it gets this crowd right behind them again. So yeah, as you say, handbags, but crowd are loving it.
Go on, and as a player, did you just rush over to be involved
well, you always wanted to be involved in that, and I was someone who always wanted to be involved in that and all the carnage. But yeah, it's always handbags, and you just laugh about it at the end of the game. But yeah, something which is better for Forest than it is for Newcastle at this moment in time.
You know, it's given Forest a free kick on that far side, their left, midway inside their own half. We're about to find out how much added time, 3 minutes of it for Forest to hold on to this lead, as we get a replay of that Willock incident where he wanted a penalty that was never given. Seeing it second time round, change your mind?
Yeah, I think it would have been soft if he give it, but it's one of them with it, Mike. I feel that if he does give it Anthony Taylor, then he ends up, it wouldn't get turned over. Whereas, because he hasn't given it, he won't turn it over. It's one of them, it's just in between. Because he does get the ball, Willock, and he does get the contact first, but I think he probably would have given a free kick outside of the box, but he's not going to give it for a penalty, I don't think, at this moment.
Yeah, well, we are told there's a high bar in the VAR booth this year in terms of overturning official decisions. I think Southampton might have something to say after that, after yesterday.
Well, yeah, I think there's been a few shady ones, hasn't he, over the last few weeks. I think going back to the West Ham Man United one as well, you know, when they've turned it all around. So, yeah, I think, as I said, I think if the referee gives it, it wouldn't have been overturned. Because he hasn't given it, it's not going to be overturned. So yeah, just one of those, and right in the middle. Elanga
takes it on his head, now moves out to this right hand side, wants to take on Joe Willock, just passed it to Joe Willock in all seriousness on that one, and Anthony Gordon gives it back to the former Arsenal man, who digs under the ball, sends it out to the far side, bounces once, and on the second bounce it's out of play for a Nottingham Forest throw-in on the halfway line, far side, their left, 90 seconds left of added time.
The second biggest cheer since the goal, I think, is it's Joe Willock kicking the ball out, so shows where the Nottingham Forest fans are at the minute. They want to see half-time and want to see the 1-0 up, the lads going in 1-0 up.
And we get a replay of that Murillo header, just got his way in between Lewis Hall and Alexander Isak, who was just a passenger. Once it connected with Murillo's header, you always fancied it to go in. It did go in. And that's how Forest lead by 1-0. Newcastle in possession. Hall. That's a better ball out towards the right hand side, although Joe Linton's got a little bit of holding off to do. He's able to do that, get the turn. Goes up to the halfway line. He's fouled on the return by Morgan Gibbs-White. Those two are enjoying a little bit of spice about them in this the end of this first half.
Yeah, he does so well, Joe Linton, to get the foul. I mean, he had two people on his back there, and he was able to wriggle out of it and then get aside. But in them little situations, and you know, you've got to get hats off to Eddie, because when he come in, he was a number 9 playing up front. Now he's in that midfield or that right hand side, left hand side role, but he does that so well. You've got to give him credit for that.
One final charge for Newcastle, maybe. Willock, Hall, left hand side, this for Eddie Howe's side in his 600th game as manager, and it's not looking like a happy one for the minute. But Cher, is he going to hit that from 30 yards? He is. He's driven that, hits the legs of Dominguez, bounces away. Forest clear it up. Seconds remain of this first half. Chris Wood and Dan Byrne both race to the ball. Byrne slides it back to Nick Pope, takes a little tumble as he does so. Then the half-time whistle goes, and Nottingham Forest, who are enjoying the season of their lives so far in the Premier League, riding high in third, and will be staying there as it stands, because at the break, Murillo's goal is the difference. Nottingham Forest lead Newcastle by 1-0.
Yeah, and I think probably on the overall play, they probably deserve it, because they've had the probably better chance, if you like, in terms of what they've done, and looked more dangerous. But Newcastle will probably feel a bit aggrieved that they are going in 1-0 down, probably, Mike. But for me, Forest have got that momentum now. They scored the goal. They've sort of lulled Newcastle into a sort of low block and let them play, and then they're going to try and hit on the counter-attack. So it's going to be really interesting now to see what Eddie does at half-time now to sort of counter that and try and get Newcastle being more authentic in that final third, because at this moment in time they've got to the final third quite well, but they've not really troubled Matt Sells in goal.
Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? Newcastle more control, more possession, just need to be more clinical. That's been their problem this season. Only scored 10 goals across their 10 Premier League games so far. Forest, okay, their games aren't featuring a load of goals. In fact, second fewest in the Premier League behind Newcastle United. But Forest are taking their chances, which is something Newcastle haven't. Yeah,
and it's opportunities. Set plays are massive, and you see, and we talked about, Newcastle have had plenty of set plays, but they haven't had the quality of ball, and that's where it's been different in the first half, because quality ball by Elanga, real quality run by Murillo gets them a goal. They just haven't had that for Newcastle. Newcastle have had just as many, free kicks and corners in and around the box. So that's what they'll be looking at. They've got to get better. The standard in that final third has got to come higher if they want to get the goal and win this game.
Plenty more from Kevin Nolan, the former Premier League striker, with us on 5 Sports Extra this afternoon. As Nottingham Forest lead Newcastle by 1-0 at the break. Murillo's goal separating the two sides. Let's hand you back to the team on BBC Radio 5 Live.
Nobody picked up Murillo, who powered his header past Pope. 1-0. Newcastle have impressed as well, though. Willock, Byrne and Guimaraes all forcing saves from Matt Sells. Gordon and Joel Linton have had chances as well. But as things stand, Forest are on their way to making it 4 wins in a row. They continue to impress. Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle United 0 at half-time.
No doubt where the biggest first half story, though, has come so far today. It's at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Henry Moran.
At half-time, Spurs 0, Ipswich 2. For the 5th time this season, Ipswich have the lead. They've yet to convert any of them to 3 points, but what a chance they've got today. Spurs started brightly. Johnson and Solanke getting good opportunities, couldn't make the most of them. Ipswich kept on working, though. Sami Smodic, brilliant finish with an overhead kick when the ball looped up. Big questions in the Spurs defence, though, about who was willing to fight for that loose ball. More questions around Ipswich's second. Lost possession, a quick break, and after a scramble involving Dragosan, Liam Delap scoring from virtually underneath the crossbar. Spurs shell-shocked, boos around the stadium. Ed Sheeran, wearing a very fetching sheepskin jacket, is absolutely delighted. Spurs 0, Ipswich 2.
It's the 6th time in their 11 Premier League games this season that Ipswich have led. 6th, and they have still yet to win a game, so I suspect their fans won't be getting carried away just yet. Wales would desperately love a victory themselves. They're playing Fiji at the Principality Stadium in the Autumn Nations Series. Molly Stevens.
Yeah, whereas Wales 14, Fiji 13. Just a point in it now. Fiji came out of the blocks brilliantly in this second half. Wales caught offside, so they take the penalty. They're about to bring the cavalry on, Wales, by the looks of it. A complete change in the front pack of what has been an absolutely crazy game of tries, no tries, yellow cards, red cards. We've seen the first incident of a 20-minute red card used in this game. That is the first from World Rugby, something that's being trialled at the moment. Wing Semi Radradra was sin-binned, and then it was upgraded to a 20-minute red card. So all sorts going on here, but at the moment Wales 14, Fiji 13.
And a reminder, at 4:10 you'll be able to listen to Scotland versus South Africa from Murrayfield on 5 Sports Extra. In the Championship, a West Brom heading back into the top 6. Rob Law.
It looks like that, Steve. West Brom leading 2-1 at Hull. They're hanging on to a lead that would move them up to 4th as things stand and bring an end to that 6 straight draws in the Championship. They've been clinical. Hull haven't. It's been as simple as that. The goals, Carlin Grant and Josh Madger, 2 in 5 first half minutes to put Carlos Corberan's side in control. João Pedro with a header that give Hull some hope just before the break, but Hull really should have been level in the second half. A header from Regan Slater that was forced wide. Hull piling everything forward in the final few moments, but still Hull 1, West Brom 2.
Already today, Sheffield United have moved back into second in the Championship table after beating Sheffield Wednesday by a 1-0 in the Steel City derby. And in the Women's Super League, it's finished Liverpool 0, Chelsea 3. So Chelsea is second in the WSL, 1 point behind Manchester City, but having played a game less. 6 wins from 6 in the WSL under Sonia Bonpastor. Amongst other things, we'll take you to Stamford Bridge for the first time today. Remember, Chelsea-Arsenal in full on Premier League Sunday at 4:30 after the news on 5 Live with Richard Foster.
The voice of the UK.
And the home of the Premier League.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Russia and Ukraine have carried out their biggest drone attacks against each other since the start of the war. Ukraine's Air Force says Russia launched 145 drones, attacking all parts of the country. It says it shot most of them down. Russia says 34 Ukrainian drones were destroyed as they approached Moscow. Dr. Samuel Romani is from the Royal United Services Institute.
Obviously, the Ukrainians are trying to bring the war to the Russian people. The election timing, though, is interesting because it does show that the Ukrainians are willing to try to strike various ammunition depots in Bryansk and chemical facilities and energy facilities, maybe before there are peaceful negotiations, to degrade Russia's ability to rebuild in the short term.
King Charles has led the nation in 2-minute silence in remembrance of men and women killed in conflict. Tens of thousands of veterans joined the King in paying their respects at the Cenotaph in central London. The Shadow Foreign Secretary, Dame Priti Patel, has defended comments she made about Donald Trump after the Capitol riots in Washington in 2021, saying they were absolutely right and fair. She was Home Secretary at the time and said Mr. Trump's words directly led to the violence. More than 200 bosses of hospitality firms have signed a letter to the Chancellor warning that plans to increase employers' national insurance contributions could damage the sector with job losses and businesses closing. Those extra NI plans were announced in the recent budget. And more than 100 heads of state and government are gathering in Azerbaijan for the COP29 climate talks, which start tomorrow. Critics say that holding the conference in a major oil and gas producing country undermines the message that economies need to move away from fossil fuels.
Good morning, 5 Live Breakfast with Rick and Rachel. I would like to take this opportunity to offer you my congratulations on 3 years in my company.
It is incredible.
Well done.
There are some nice messages. I discovered you 2 years too late. Never mind, says Linda, I'm here now.
Welcome, Linda.
5 Live Breakfast.
With Rachel Burden and Rick Edwards.
Greg in Plymouth says congratulations to you both. I was unsure of Rick initially. Some days I still am.
It's not an uncommon opinion, that one, though.
No, the thing about me, Greg, is I will grind you down. I grind everyone down in the end.
5 Live Breakfast.
Listen weekdays from 6 on BBC Sounds. This is 5 Live Sport
with Steve Crossman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Half-time whistle in the Women's Super League. Crystal Palace lead Everton by 1-0. India Page Riley, New Zealand international striker. With that, nothing for the New Zealand international striker Chris Wood for Nottingham Forest against Newcastle so far, but it doesn't matter. Forest lead Newcastle by 1-0. Second half commentary on the way on 5 Sports Extra. Spurs 0, Ipswich 2. You'll be able to hear that on the BBC Sport website, and here on 5 Live we'll be back to Old Trafford shortly, where Manchester United lead Leicester by 2-0. In the Championship, Burnley winless in their last 4, about to get underway in their game with Swansea at Turf Moor. Sani Rudravajula.
Hi Steve, yeah, Burnley in the playoffs. Their mid-October beating of Sheffield Wednesday feels a long time ago, but Scott Parker keeps faith with the side that drew a blank at West Brom, with Leeds loanee Jayden Anthony having a goal controversially ruled out. Zian Fleming's up top. He was the last player to celebrate a goal for the Clarets 4 games ago. 2 swaps for middling Swansea. The experienced Joe Allen returns with Josh Tymon at fullback. Miles Peart-Harris, borrowed from Brentford, scored his first in the 1-0 over Watford. He starts along with Serbian Zan Vipotnik leading the line.
In the Scottish Premiership, after Aberdeen beat Dundee 4-1 on Saturday, Celtic need to get a win themselves to go back to the top of the table. They face Kilmarnock at Rugby Park. Kenny Crawford.
Good afternoon, Steve. Yeah, Rugby Park's a venue which often has a big say in the eventual destination of Scottish silverware, so 3 points is definitely not a given for Celtic. Brendan Rodgers' side lost here in the League and the League Cup last season. Kelly beat Rangers on this patch a fortnight ago, but with that wonderful win against Leipzig midweek, you'd think there'll be a sizable spring in Celtic's step today. One player who won't take any steps for Brendan Rodgers' side this afternoon, though, is defensive rock Cameron Carter-Vickers. He's rested as a precaution. Striker Kyogo is a sub. Liam Scales and Adam Ida come in. Derek McInnes' Kilmarnock are without the injured Stuart Finlay, Danny Armstrong and Bruce Anderson is benched, while Joe Wright, Liam Donnelly and Marley Watkins are the replacements. Kick off in a couple of minutes.
Rangers face Hearts at 5 o'clock as well in the Scottish Premiership. Back to the Principality Stadium. Wales, Fiji, Molly.
Yeah, Fiji are in front. Sorry, Steve, we were about to see another try then, but it's been pulled back. Wales 14, Fiji 16. The first time Fiji have been in front in this match. Penalty after penalty. Caleb Muntz behind the boot of them. Wales 14, Fiji 16.
About to get underway in the Women's Super League in the game between West Ham and Leicester. Chelsea have extended their perfect start after beating Liverpool 3-0. After the game, Betty Glover spoke to Chelsea boss Sonia Bonpastor.
I feel good. I'm so proud of my players. Great performance again tonight. Good results. I think we are in a good dynamic, and that's always important for the confidence.
Big win. Were you really happy with the performance? Was there anything that you would have wanted to have done differently?
Just after the game, it's more difficult for me to analyse. I will be analysing the game later tonight or tomorrow. But you always have some points you can improve in the game. I think maybe today we started a little bit slower than usually the game, but we were able in the bigger picture during the 90 minutes to control the game, which I'm really happy with.
Next game you've got Manchester City in the WSL. How tough do you think that's going to be?
Yeah, tough game. You know, City have a really good team. They are also in a really good dynamic with good results. So, yeah, it will be a very nice game for everyone, for both teams, the fans and the people who are going to watch on TV. So, yeah, when you are a football fan, you just want to be part of that games. So, yeah, that's not the next one because we still have a Champions League one in the middle of the week. So we will focus on that, but for sure we can't wait to play that game.
Sonia Bonpastor. Chelsea's men are at home to Arsenal in our 5 Live commentary at 4:30. Correspondent John Murray is there for us. Afternoon, John.
Good afternoon, Steve.
There is a lot to get into here.
Yes, there is.
Let's start with the question marks over Arsenal purse. Oh, go on. What do you want to start with?
That's exactly what I was going to start.
Declan Rice.
That's where we should start.
Perhaps?
Declan Rice is exactly where we should start because I'm sitting up in our commentary position in the main stand. But we've had pictures up here of the Arsenal team coach arriving outside, and that is the news that I think Arsenal fans will want to hear is that Declan Rice did get off the bus and has walked through the avenue of supporters that they now have, which is quite new this season, outside Stamford Bridge and into the stadium and to the dressing room. So he's there. Declan Rice is there. As we know, he's going to be playing with a broken toe. Will receive the treatment that he needs to be able to allow him to do that. So Rice is here. Odegaard is here as well. Clearly one of the questions is, will he be in the starting lineup? Will Rice be in the starting lineup? And also the two players who went off in Milan on Wednesday night with head injuries, Kai Havertz, who cut his head quite badly, he's here. And also Mikel Merino, who went off at half-time, who's involved in the 2 penalty incidents that were involved in the match against Inter and didn't come out for the second half. Mikel Arteta said he wasn't feeling right. Well, he's here as well, so I am assuming that they are all available for selection.
Do you think Declan Rice will play with a broken toe for England as well?
I would be less certain of that.
We shall see. Let's hear from the Chelsea manager, Enzo Maresca. He was asked after a really positive start to the season, the narrow defeats they have had to Liverpool and Manchester City, whether the only thing they're missing is a statement victory over a title-chasing team.
I think there's a lot of positives.
For sure, I would like to win this kind of game. But since we start, I always said the same, that for sure I analyze the result, but first of all I analyze the performance. Hopefully we can win Sunday, we can win that kind of game. Liverpool away, the performance was very good, we didn't deserve to lose, even City. The good thing is that we are there, and you cannot see big difference when we play this kind of game, and this is the most important thing. For sure I don't have doubt if it's Sunday or it's next game, but for sure we're gonna be there and win this kind of game, no doubt.
And if they do, they'll only be a point, John, behind Manchester City.
Yes, and also they'll have opened a gap between themselves and Arsenal, who are currently just below them on goal difference in the Premier League table. And I've seen quite a bit of Chelsea so far this season. And since they lost here to Manchester City, where they give a good account of themselves, that was on the opening weekend of the season, it is just one defeat in their last 9 Premier League matches, and that was at Anfield against Liverpool. So they're 2 defeats against Manchester City.
You can hear Chelsea against Arsenal on 5 Live from around about 4:30 this afternoon. We're getting ready for the second half of the Muller Kintyre. Loud and proud from the Forest fans. They lead by 1-0 as we get ready for the second half. No changes by either side at the break. So we remain with Sells in goal, Aina, Milenkovic, Murillo, Moreno, the back 4 for Nottingham Forest, Yates and Dominguez, with Alanga, Gibbs, White, Hudson-Odoi and Wood as the rest of their team. Forest in this second half are now right to left, red shirts, white shorts and red socks. Their opponents Newcastle, Pope's their goalkeeper, Livramento, Scher, Byrne and Hall, Longstaff, Guimaraes and Willock, with Gordon, Isak and Joe Linton. They are left to right, thick black and white vertical striped shirts with the black shorts and white socks, attacking the end where their away fans are housed on the bottom tier of the stand to our right hand side. And Newcastle, who had the control and the possession in the first half, are looking now to chase a goal which get them level, and maybe it comes with Isak drifting in from the right hand side, lays it into the edge of the D for Willock. Ball might break through for Joe Linton. Away by Forest in the end. Newcastle, once they'd got in on the right hand side, never really had full control of the ball, and that allowed Forest to clear it. Here is Scher, picks it up, gives it to Dan Burn, alongside myself, Mike Maine, the former Premier League striker, Kevin Nolan.
Yeah, good start from Newcastle. Isaac gets himself in around that right hand side of the box, just plays it behind Willock, so we're unable to come onto it, but really positive start from Newcastle. But Nottingham Forest sitting into that low to mid block now and waiting for that counter.
Joe Linton, right hand side, Livramento on the overlap. Joe Linton has dug a deep cross in there. Sells lets it go, it bounces on the byline, then bounces back and arcs back into play without fully going out. So Dan Burn now has it for Newcastle. Willock, again the City ground just setting itself down ready for the second half. It was at large times in the first half comfortable yet frustrating watch for Forest fans. They had the goal advantage, but they never really had much of the ball. Here's Livramento, clever little turn actually from him, trying to play it onto the edge of the penalty area. Just a shame that Longstaff wasn't on the same wavelength.
Yeah, it was a nice little ball in that corner run, what you're expecting Longstaff to give. He just stopped, and Murillo was able to intercept and put it out. But Newcastle, first couple of minutes, really established themselves and gone right in full control. So really important for us now to try and get a little bit of control back on the ball, because Newcastle, it's been all Newcastle at the beginning.
Yeah, Newcastle won here in the League Cup on penalties earlier this season. Finished 1-1 after 90 minutes. And they're trying to get the same scoreline again, as Aina's got a little bit of defending to do up against Isak. Eventually just allows the Swede to take control of the ball as he moves out of the penalty area and out towards the far side. Here's Longstaff to turn. He'll get more central as well, but then runs out of room and clatters almost into Nicolas Dominguez. Forest now send the ball away. Hudson-Odoi takes it on the outside of his right boot up against Livramento, into the middle for Morgan Gibbs-White. Wood is calling for it. Gibbs-White just flicks the ball behind him on the turn, and Forest try and keep the possession, but in the end Dominguez sends it forward, not quite as joined up there. It runs into the penalty area away to our left hand side, and Nick Pope can just comfortably knock it away from his penalty area.
Yeah, they're all willing Morgan gives White to shoot Wendy from about 40 yards. He didn't fancy it, went back to Dominguez. They give it a ball away, and now they've just gone into this low block again to mid block. So really encouraging signs from Newcastle, but Forest sort of on that counter attack have got to be a bit more potent.
Longstaff flicks it with the outside of his right boot on the edge of the penalty area, and Isak was caught just a little flat-footed there and meant he couldn't get his run to charge through on goal. He would have had one-on-one situation there. As it was, it runs on through and Sells collects.
Yeah, nice little bit of play, good thought, good thinking from Longstaff, but Isak just wasn't on the same wavelength, and obviously that's why Sells is on the ball.
He would have been onside as well, Alexander Isak, who scored in his 2 appearances against Nottingham Forest. 34 Premier League goals for him, same as Robert Lee. He's now trying to close down on Solano and Cisse, 2 iconic names for Newcastle United in the Premier League, who've got 37. Cross it from the left-hand side. Sells, I thought, could have gathered. He sort of arms that away out towards this near side. It bounces off his forearm and actually took it away from the Newcastle player in Joe Linton, who's on the right of the 6-yard box. Here's Guimaraes, bending shot, outside of his boot, looking for the top left-hand corner. Hit it first time of asking. It goes high and wide, but only fractionally so.
Yeah, nice corner run from Lewis Miles on the opposite side. Lewis Hall on the opposite side. Gets a really good crossing. As you said, I think Matt Sells should do better, but he gets a hand on it, takes it away from Joe Linton. But then a lovely little bit of 1-2 with him and Guimaraes with his right side of his outside of his foot. You think, well, from our angle, it looked like it was going into that top corner, but just goes over the bar.
Would have been a sensational goal from Bruno Guimaraes.
Absolutely fantastic finish it would have been, yeah.
As we get that clawed save from Matt Sells, who was coming off his goal line, did enough. It was a vital touch, really. Otherwise, Joe Linton is looking at an equaliser, and he might still be here because Newcastle, with Willett come forward and the shot, Joe Linton was peeling away to the right-hand side. Longstaff's header is weak and poor. He's smacked away by Ina. Forest have no control.
No, and this is what I was talking about earlier on. At the beginning of the second half, Newcastle really took the ball by the horns and got it.
They're going to make the changes as a result in Forest. I think Nuno Espirito Santo realises they need to get more time on the ball.
Yeah, and it will do. Anderson, obviously his old club, coming back on, he'll want to go and show them what he's about. And I think it's going to be one of them where they try and claim the game back off Newcastle, because at this moment in time Newcastle are fully in control, although not really getting to that final third and doing what they want and getting that goal.
Former Newcastle man Elliot Anderson enjoying life at Forest. He has 3 assists in his 10 Premier League games so far for Forest, as many as he got in 44 for Newcastle United. He's going to come on. Never scored in the Premier League either for Newcastle, yet to score for Forest, but plenty of time to correct that. Also going to come on Jota Silva for his 10th Premier League appearance of the season, and all 10 will have been from the Forest bench. Spurs have one back, so it was a surprise scoreline at half-time with Spurs trailing Ipswich by 2-0. Well, they've just found a route back into the game. Now Tottenham 1, Ipswich 2. Joe Linton, Longstaff can look goalwards as well. Right-hand side, Livramento, low cross in. Murillo, the goal scorer of Forest, to give them that 1-0 lead. Slides in, sends it away. Joe Linton bends in, across from the right-hand side, early delivery, headed away as well, that one. Comes to Gordon now on the left. Him and Hall combine. Hall just a little infield from Bruno Guimaraes, who now moves to the edge of the D. Lets Longstaff take over. Is that Isak moving into position? It is. But now Forest on the break. Newcastle so high up the field. Forest can steam away on that right-hand side. It is an opportunity. Across goal. And Pope saves with his legs. What a chance. What a foot race that was. And all the way down the field was Dominguez running, and his shot met at the near post by Nick Pope.
Yeah, it was a fantastic challenge by Ryan Yates again to win the ball back, and then a lovely little bit of passing to get Dominguez out. He'd just come on from his injury, so that's why Dan Bain wasn't aware of him.
Newcastle low crossing from the left-hand side, blocked. It's going to be a corner kick.
Yeah, this has been probably the best spell for Newcastle, but they've got to be really, really aware of Newcastle's threat on the counter, and that's what you've just seen there. Dominguez come on, showing no signs of that injury he just walked off with, runs down the side, and it's a good save by Nick Pope. But this is probably best time for Newcastle now, and the best spell of their game.
Dominic Solanke's goal's been ruled out for handball, so it is still Tottenham 0, Ipswich 2. Corner to Newcastle, far side. Their left, right in front of the Newcastle fans, who'll try and suck that ball into the back of the net if they can. The corner hooks up into the middle of the 6-yard box, headed downwards from Longstaff, in off the post on the rebound, and Alexander Isak scores again against Nottingham Forest. 3 appearances, 3 goals, and it is Forest 1, Newcastle 1.
Yeah, he is Johnny on the spot, and this lad. He's a fantastic finisher, as you see there. I don't think it's him who gets the first contact, but he's there and he's ready, he's aware, he's waiting for the ball, anything to drop in and around him, and he passes it in. This has been, as I just said, Newcastle's best passage of play. This has been the way they've got on top of Forest, so it's really important now Forest try and gain momentum back. But for Newcastle, they're well deserved in this second half. How they started for the last 10 minutes, they've been the team who looked more likely to score.
Corner came in from the far side. The initial header from Longstaff was blocked off. It rebounded straight to the feet of Isak, who pulled the trigger, hit the right hand post. It comes off the inside of the post and nestles into the back of the net.
Yeah, I mean, 2 set-piece goals, and you can see the staff, they're complaining. Staff are complaining about a push, but I think it's there's no push there. Well deserved equaliser, and it sets this game up now for me for the next 35 minutes.
And it comes just after Domingos' chance at the other end, down the right hand side, saved by the legs of Nick Pope. That would have made it 2-0 Forest. Up the other end, Newcastle go win a corner and score from it.
Yeah, and that's been it. We thought that Forest going into the second half, that's going to be their biggest threat, was the counter-attacking threat. But to be fair, when you're looking at it now, I'm not too sure what they're looking at. I don't know why they're looking at it in big detail, because I thought it was a goal right away. I didn't think there was much there to see. When I'm looking at the VAR now as well, I don't know why we're waiting. We should be getting this game back on. The VAR shouldn't be getting involved with it.
Yeah, goal stands. It was a matter of the heads went up initially. Longstaff, they're just wondering whether Forest header pushed it down on Longstaff's arm. You can't give a handball for that. They haven't. It is Forest 1, Newcastle 1. 10 minutes gone in the second half, and Forest, who are readying a double change with Jota Silva and Elliot Anderson. Well, there's been a pause and a moment reflection of that from Nuno Espirito Santo, who's now just sent them back to the bench for now as he rethinks his team here.
Yeah, it's one of them when you sort of you've got that 1-0, you've got the advantage, and you're looking at it and you're thinking, right, we'll make the change now to keep this 1-0. Now it does a change in his head, and that's what we're looking at now. We're seeing it. He's asked him to go back into the dugout. He'll have a chat with his team, and as you see now, he's calling them up, and you'll see whether that change is going to be the same.
So 1-1, Elanga just holds off Lewis Hall on that far side. Forest right, gets to the corner of the penalty area, low ball in, it's behind Morgan Gibbs-White, who seemingly apologises for making a run too soon as well. Now Isak and Murillo eating up ground. Murillo stumbled as he got to the edge of his own penalty area, allows Isak control of the ball, recovers brilliantly, the Forest centre-back, and Isak goes down. Nothing given by Anthony Taylor, the referee. Good recovery for Murillo,
fantastic. I've just seen his pace for the first time really with him and Isak going at it.
Guimaraes, edge of the D, heavy touch, and it just cost Newcastle an opportunity. But as they turn over play, Forest, they come across the halfway line with Gibbs-White. He's got Elanga to his right hand side. The ball was too close to Lewis Hall on the edge of the penalty area. Steps across, but then he can only give it away. So Forest still have it alive here. Gibbs-White, Elanga, a little calming in the play. Anderson and Jota Silva are about to come on in a moment for Nuno Espirito Santo. He's decided that change is still relevant, still going to happen. Forest with possession midway inside the Newcastle half. Murillo digs under it, headed down and away by Dan Burn, and Joe Willett inside his own half, central position, tries to feed it out to the left hand side. The run was made by Gordon, cut off by Aina, and here's Nikola Milenkovic to send Forest back forward up towards the halfway line. Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle 1. Premier League Sundays on 5 Live and 5 Sports Extra, plus the BBC Sport website and app this afternoon. And he's bouncing on the long ball up towards the byline. Ooh, got a little touch off Lewis Hall, but the linesman on that far side has flagged, so it will be a Newcastle free kick anyway for an offside against Elanga. And here come those Forest changes then. First of all, Elliot Anderson on for Morgan Gibbs-White, and the other change, as the former Newcastle man comes onto the field, is going to see Callum Hudson-Odoi replaced by Jota Silva.
Yeah, he's gone ahead with the changes. What he's thinking of now, getting Anderson on, trying just to grab something back into this game now, I think, in Nuno Espirito. But it's been really good for Newcastle. What Forest can't do is now become wasteful with the opportunities that they're given, and that's what I think, and what we're seeing is that Morgan Gibbs-White on that counter there, he gives the ball back to Lewis. Miles, sorry, I keep calling him Lewis Miles. It's because I'm getting wily. Lewis Hall, he gives it cheap, and what they've got to do, and that's why they've probably brought on Jota and now Anderson to try and get that quality on the counter, because they feel that's something where they can hurt Newcastle.
And Lewis Miley is on the bench for Newcastle United this afternoon.
Yeah, that's why I keep looking at his name.
Lewis Hall, the current left back for Eddie Howe's side, in his 600th league match as manager this afternoon. The Newcastle boss, what started with Bournemouth losing 2-1 against Darlington in January 2009, has led him to the Premier League, to the Champions League a couple of years ago as well. As throw-in is given to Nottingham Forest on the halfway line. Nottingham Forest, who have won both of their last 2 home fixtures. They only won 3 of their first 14 at home under Nuno. They did lead this afternoon until Alexander Isak fired for Newcastle back level. Only the 11th goal in 11 games that Newcastle have scored this season. Conceded 11 as well, including the one today from Murillo in the first half. The hour marks here, and it's Newcastle and Forest locked at 1 apiece at the City Ground in the East Midlands. Forest came into today with exactly the same record as their East Midlands rivals Leicester City had in their title-winning season. 1-5 drawn, 4 lost, 1 after 10 games. Cross comes in from the right-hand side, deflects off Bruno Guimaraes, so that's going to be a corner to Forest, far side the right.
Yeah, I mean, it's another good run by Ryan Yates. I think he's been probably the little spark in the Forest team today, and he gets it down that right-hand side, gets his team a corner, and then you see him willing the crowd and get behind us. Come on, get behind us, because they need this crowd if they're going to try and win this game, keep this momentum going, what they've got. And, you know, fantastic to think that they're third in the Premier League at this moment in time with the points.
A win secures third spot heading into the international break. Corner headed down from Ryan Yates. Nick Pope catches on his goal line.
Yeah, again, Yates is in the mix of it again. I said he's a threat on set pieces, and he just does everything right. Yates, he never sparkles. He's never one who takes the limelight, but he just does all the jobs really good, and he's real threat off set pieces. And as you see in that other day,
one of the longest serving players at the club, if not the longest serving player with them since 2018. Ryan Yates scored in that big East Midlands derby win against Leicester a few weeks ago. The 3-1 win for Forest. Guimaraes has just emerged with the ball here over the halfway line to the left of the centre circle. 1 apiece, as needlessly the foul given away by the man receiving all the praise a moment ago in Ryan.
Yeah, that's him again though. He's stopping the play, stopping momentum for Newcastle, getting Forest back into the shape. And you see, he just, as I said, he's a clever footballer, Ryan, and does it really well, and does well to stay out of the book as many times as he should. Really.
Chris Wood forward, poor ball, won't find Jota Silva making the run on the right hand side. Share for Newcastle, 10 yards inside his own half to Tino Livramento, the right back. Share again, Dan Burn. There are plenty of substitutes warming up down on the touchline away to our left-hand side. 2 of a Nottingham Forest persuasion, 4 in the black shorts of Newcastle. We can see with the green bibs on, one of them Sandro Tonali, Jacob Murphy watching on as well. Players who can have a big impact. Jacob Murphy heading into today, the only player with multiple assists for Newcastle so far this season. Chelsea Arsenal on the way from 4:30. BBC Radio 5 Live, BBC Sounds for that one. More Premier League action on BBC Radio 5 Live, and if you haven't heard this week, new audio rights deals means that 5 Live will bring you more Premier League commentaries than ever before over the next 4 seasons. And if you're just tuning in, you've missed that Alexander Isak equaliser for Newcastle. You can listen back via your smart speaker. It can rewind, so you can find that goal, those big moments, probably rewind about 10 minutes or so for that Isak equaliser. Your phone is where you can access BBC Sounds on the app. You can also access it on your smart speaker. Simply say to your device, play Radio 5 Live or 5 Sports Extra, and it will do just that. Long ball forward by Newcastle. Bounces once, twice, and into the hands comfortably of Matt Sells.
Yeah, poor ball by Newcastle. It's just gone a bit dead at the minute, the game, and nothing really happening. So it's really important now with these next 5 minutes for one of the teams to try and establish themselves as they want to take this game, as you see now, counter.
Joe Linton, right hand side, he has the overlap of Isak. Isak will send it to the back post. Gordon's header is goal bound, but it was slightly over him. He was always backtracking, he was always trying to arc the neck muscles, and it's a comfortable catch in the end for Sells.
Yeah, it's a lovely little dink ball into the back post, but Gordon's already in there, and as you say, when you're not coming on, the momentum's not with you. You've got to try and get it with the neck muscles, and obviously wasn't enough to beat Sells.
Forest just on the halfway line. Anderson playing now against players he once used to train with, but he just holds off Fabian Schär. Can't get past Joe Linton though, loses the ball inside the Forest half. Here is Isak, pulled to the ground. Was he by Ryan Yates? Yes, he was, and there is the yellow card.
As I said, I predicted, I think one foul ago that the yellow card would be coming. He knew what he was doing again, obviously getting himself, giving Newcastle a free kick, but Anderson done all the work. He really done well, keeping Schär off him, and then he tried to then go into a battle with Joe Linton, which was needlessly. He should have just played the ball off and got himself back into the game. But then he gives the ball away, and it gives them an opportunity then to break, which is going to be a real problem for Forest if they're going to allow that and lose balls in the mid to defensive third. But free kick now for Newcastle.
Looking to go in front. Newcastle have won 6 of their last 7 against Nottingham Forest. 25 minutes to go in this game. Forest 1, Newcastle 1. Manchester United lead Leicester 2-0. That's available for you right now on BBC Radio 5 Live. Tottenham trailing Ipswich by 2-0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That's on the BBC Sport website and app. So this Newcastle free kick, central position, midway inside the Forest half. I mean, it's not out of shooting range, this one, is it?
No, I think that's what they're just deciding now, whether it's going to be a direct shot or whether they're going to work something. But knowing Eddie Howe and his team, they'll have something up their sleeve to maybe get out wide. You've seen Anthony Gordon going out wide there, so is it one way they're going to try and look for just a different move, as you see?
Yeah. Gordon peeled away, Hall finds him, cross comes in, Sells punches away, Longstaff wants to be first to it. Newcastle will claim a penalty. They'll be lucky if they ever get a second look at that, because steaming up the field now is Jota Silva, out towards the left hand side, coming to this near side of the field. Byrne recovers, Byrne gives away the free kick. He's already on a booking. I don't think the referee's going to make it a 10-man game for Newcastle United. Jota Silva fouled. The Forest fans have realised Byrne made the foul and he's on that yellow card.
He's a lucky boy, I think, and Ryan Yates is actually pointing it out to Anthony Taylor as the captain now, saying, you've just booked me for the same thing. He stopped the momentum of the counter-attack. Dan Byrne's already on a yellow card. Would it be a soft yellow card? Probably. But is it a yellow card? It is, by the laws of the game. So he has got that one wrong, I think, Anthony Taylor, and that's why they are aggrieved, or they feel aggrieved, the fans and the staff and players of Forest.
So it will be a free kick to Forest. The yellow card stays in the pocket of Anthony Taylor, where Dan Byrne is concerned. Dan Byrne is already going to miss their game against West Ham after the international break, having picked up 5 yellow cards in the Premier League this season. Sandro Tonali is ready to come on. Elanga is going to take this free kick. He's just had a word with Alex Moreno here about this free kick. What a Forest got up their sleeve to try and take the lead again midway through this second half. Right footed from Elanga into the penalty area, headed away by Byrne. Willock's header is not a good one. It's out to the left of the D. Still alive here. Jota Silva trying to twist and turn on the edge of the penalty area. He can't. And now Anthony Gordon emerges with the ball, and he's already up towards the halfway line. 2 go with him. Alexander Isak, who just brushes past Dominguez, lets the ball run onto Joe Willock right at the penalty area. Willock looking for Isak, slams it down and wide of the right hand post. What a chance for Alexander Isak and Newcastle to turn this game on their head. Willock, great cross, Isak in space, firing low across the ground and wide at the right hand frame of the goal. 1-1.
I'm just waiting for the net to bulge. I wouldn't expect. I would have put my mortgage on everything there. That opportunity falling to Alex Isak there in the middle of the box. on the volley, and I'm just expecting the net to ripple, and it hasn't. It's just gone wide of the post. Lucky for Forest, but Diego Jota, on the edge of the box, got to do better. Got to release the ball earlier, and he gets caught. Anthony Gordon was absolutely magnificent in getting himself and getting his side up the pitch, and with a lovely ball out wide. Nice little dink by Willock, and you just expect him to score, and he just hasn't.
Joe Willock's cross to Alexander Isak for that missed opportunity for Newcastle United was his last. Sandro Tonali comes on in his place. 5th substitute appearance of the season for him.
Here you go, Yates again, waiting the foul when it's needed. Just get that little free kick, goes over, gets Forrest, try and get momentum back for them. Then he goes down, he'll sit down for 40-50 seconds now. Just get Forrest back into the game and where they want to be. Just real good with his game plan all the time. Really good captain, really good lad as well.
There was a booking for Rui Barbosa, one of Espirito Santo's assistants, that came from the aftermath of the challenge from Dan Burn.
Yeah, he got the yellow card out for the wrong person, I think. He got it for one of the staff who was quite right to protest, because we all believed that it was a yellow.
Forest free kick. Elanga sends it into the penalty area, headed away by Cher. The drop down ball is collected back by Nottingham Forest, so the possession remains with the home side, one apiece at the City Ground with 20 minutes to go in this game. Here's Murillo, Forest scorer from the first half, before Isak cancelled things out. Moreno, and now Dominguez inside the centre circle, just pushes it out to the right hand side. Forest in their red shirts are from right to left in the second half, sent down the line, and Hall, who started at left back and started this move off, has continued his run. They tried to find him again. Aina steps across to cover, Sells under it first time, sends it up and away to the halfway line.
Yeah, great defender by Aina, showed his pace and his power there, and gets it back in control for Forest. The Forest fans wanted an handball against Lewis Hall, but it was just too much really, because it just popped up and hit him. But yeah, getting better for Forest. This is better from Forest, starting to try and gain control and get back into and play the game in Newcastle's half, because a lot of it's been played in their half this half.
Forest, who are looking for 4 straight wins for the first time since April and May 1995. Only twice in Premier League history have they had a longer run than their current 3 matches. One of those being that April and May 1995. They did go 5 in a row from March to April in 1995. That season they finished 3rd in the Premier League. Here they are again on the cusp of heading into the international break in 3rd position, behind only Manchester City and Liverpool. They have to win to make sure that'll happen. Here's Elanga, left-footed crossing, dig towards the back post. Pope came off his goal line, saw it all the way. Chris Wood's gone down off the ball as that cross came in from Elanga from the challenge of Dan Burn. I think that's just a coming together of 2 people who wanted to attack the near post.
Yeah, he's not going to get a penalty certainly for that. He went down a bit too easy for my liking really.
Ramon Sosa about to come on for Forest. Here's Isak out towards the right hand side, where Joe Linton into the penalty area. Joe Linton, bending shot in the back of the net, and Newcastle United have turned it around in the second half. Joe Linton with their second goal, bending it around the goalkeeper, and Forest's fine start to the season has been rooted by Newcastle this afternoon, who've come here. They've got a good record against the home side and have proved it once again. Brilliant goal from Joe Linton, his first since August, and it's Forest 1, Newcastle United 2.
Yeah, them fans are going absolutely wild behind that goal, because it's a lovely counter-attacking move. Goes into Isak, plays it out to Joe Linton on this right-hand side, and as he dips in, Livramento makes a really good run on the outside, which takes the left back Moreno away. He's allowed then to come inside and just with his left foot just curl it, and it comes into the inside of the post and into the goal. Fantastic move from Newcastle and great goal.
What a remarkable turnaround it's been from Newcastle, who throughout the game have had the control, had the possession. Forest in that aspect have always been second best, but this is a side with form that came in with such high spirits today, and now the City ground is flattened.
Yeah, I mean, to be quite honest, on the balance of play in this second half, Newcastle have got what they deserve. But what we're talking about is that Forest Forest were looking for that sort of counter-attacking edge, and they haven't showed it in the second half. What they've got to do now is gain that control back and get back to where they've been playing really well. They haven't got balls in the box. When they have got into that final third, the quality hasn't quite been there yet. So it's really important now, really big 20 minutes coming up for Forest to try and get themselves back in this game.
Isn't it amazing how football can just turn? Forest have just made a substitution to bring Ramon Sosa on. The man he replaced, Nicolas Dominguez, missed a chance at 1-0 to put Forest 2-0 up. Newcastle went up the other end and scored their equaliser, and now it's the Magpies flying high 2-1 up.
Exactly that. You know, that's the differences in football.
Handball possibly against Dan Burn. It'll come to this near side. Here is Sosa, low shot, drilled against the legs of Fabian Schär. It bounces away out of the penalty area. Forest chasing that equaliser now.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it, and Dan Burn, the Forest fans are on him for everything, so they've got to be really careful. Eddie Howe's got a decision to make here. Does he keep Dan Burn on the pitch, or does he take him off just to make sure that he doesn't get that yellow card, that extra yellow card, because it is building up, and that's what he'll use the yellow card for next to the action of Andy Taylor.
Forest now and their fans trying to swing the momentum in their favour. Here's Sosa again, looking lively since he's come on. Elliot Anderson, the former Newcastle man, sends one into the penalty area, but really poor, and that is an easy catch on his goal line for Nick Pope.
Yeah, Anderson's just dropped back in now with Ryan Yates as Dominguez has gone off. Sosa's come onto this left and Alanga into that 10 role. So it's going to be interesting now to see what Newcastle do. They'll try and take the sting out of this game now, but they'll be ready because, as you can see, with Joe Linton one side, Gordon and Isaac as the front three, they're going to be real threat on that counter-attack now.
Out of play it goes for a Newcastle throw on this near side. And close to their penalty area. Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle 2 with 15 minutes to go. As Nuno's men have been bettered by Newcastle this afternoon. I think that is fair to say. Down the line it goes. Who's that off last? I think that's off Moreno, giving his reaction now. He didn't give anything. He didn't hide that. There was no poker face from Moreno. It was a shrug of disbelief that just things aren't falling Forest's way.
No, that's what you're sort of seeing to be when you look at Moreno's reaction then when it come off, and it was like, oh, not again, you know, one of them. So
he wins it back from the throw-in though. Forest trying to bumble their way forward with Elliot Anderson. Yates to spray it out to the right hand side. Jota Silva allows Aina to take control of the ball. Right foot across towards Chris Wood, and just before the Forest striker was the Newcastle goalkeeper, who performed a little juggling act in the 6-yard box but got there ahead of the Forest striker and clutches onto the ball with big relief.
Yeah, he used all his frame there, didn't he, Nick Pope? It was a lovely little dink ball to that far post. And then Nick Pope just comes out and he just takes it off Chris Wood's head. But yeah, really in control of that.
Nottingham Forest behind. They have trailed for the fewest minutes in the Premier League this season. Only 65 minutes have they been behind before today. Arsenal next up on 116. The timings mean that Forest will still have that record for now. But each minute and second that ticks by is another one that they are losing in order to get level. Tottenham have won back against Ipswich at home at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So it's Spurs 1, Ipswich 2. Newcastle here look like they're about to ready Harvey Barnes.
Yeah, it looks like they're going for Harvey Barnes. I've just seen Joe Linton sit on the 18-yard box, whether he's getting cramp or he's tight somewhere, so that might be Harvey Barnes to come in for him. I'm just looking at it now, and I'm looking at James Ward-Prowse for Nottingham Forest warming up. Is he one where you get him on the pitch because you have them set pieces and for his delivery just to give them something, because Newcastle will look vulnerable and Nottingham Forest look good on the set pieces, and it's probably one way they'll get themselves back in the game.
Nottingham Forest throwing 10 yards inside their own half on this near side. Eddie Howe just has a word with Harvey Barnes, Newcastle's joint top scorer this season prior to today with 3 goals. Isaac's got one that takes him on to 3 as well in the Premier League. Forest down the right hand side. The turn by Ramon Sosa out towards Silva. The 2 substitutes combine. It's Silva's cross in, attacked by Alanga, and he just couldn't get enough on his head. Had he done that, Forest might have had an equaliser. Did he take it? Oh, and then just waiting for it was Alex Moreno on the stretch. He couldn't connect with it either. Fractions for Forest.
Yeah, great ball in by Jota. Alanga just couldn't get his full head on it. So goes to the far post.
Jota and Silva allows Ola Aina to take control on the overlap of the right hand side, and then Aina tried to push it back through to Silva. It hasn't
That's
worked.
what I'm talking about, Mike. Just them little moments there when you're on there and you're trying to gain momentum. They're the moments what have got to be right, and that's where Forest have been a bit sloppy. They've given the ball away needlessly, and when you've got that pass on, Aina should not miss that pass there, and that should give them the momentum now to get into the final third and get another cross into the box, because as you see, when they cross into the box they cause Newcastle problems.
Moreno fractions away. Just seen a replay. That's just one where the body just can't react quick enough.
Yeah, it's one of them. Alanga gets that nudge on and it just takes it away probably from Moreno, and he just can't get there. So he's half a yard out.
Gordon's down on the far side receiving some treatment. He went down as soon as the ball went out of play. Just seems to be holding his left leg there, is he? He will be replaced. Harvey Barnes is going to come on in his place. The board for that has already been shown. It's just how long Anthony Gordon stays down for here. 10 minutes to go, just over in this game. Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle United 2. Nuno Espirito Santo, in conversation with his assistants, has to find a way to get Forest level. Chelsea and Arsenal will be strangely looking favourably on this result.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Well, I'm just looking at it there, and I've seen Eddie Howe have a word with Gordon before, so he probably knew he was coming off. A little bit of gamesmanship, I think, went down, get the momentum back, take it out away from Nottingham Forest, and then get Harvey Barnes on to try and hit these on the counter with his pace on that left-hand side.
A point for Chelsea and Arsenal would see them both move above Forest and Brighton on goals scored. Chelsea would have a better goal difference. Arsenal would go above Forest on goals scored. Forest 15 to Arsenal's 17.
Yeah, a massive game that this afternoon. Now when you look at this, if this result stays the same, you know whoever comes out the winner on that goal, and you want to be in that top three if you're going to be title contenders. Arsenal certainly, but it's not going to be no main feat trying to beat Chelsea, so really interesting afternoon.
Back underway, and Ramon Sosa's just committed a foul, leaning too hard in on a Newcastle player on this near side, Newcastle's right. So 30 yards from goal, Sandro Tonali, who swipes away his fairly long brown hair, right-footed, delivers that poorly into the penalty area, and Jota Silva can volley it clear of the box for now. It'll come back at Forest though, because Newcastle in possession with Guimaraes, floated up towards Isak's header, and then Bernard stayed up, and now it's his turn to appeal for a foul on him as he goes down, but nothing given by Anthony Taylor.
Yeah, pretty similar to the Wood challenge earlier on when Dan Burns was involved on the opposite side, and the Forest fans went up, and now they're booing Burn for doing the same. So yeah, good fun really.
You love it. Yeah. Kevin Nolan living his best playing days from the commentary box on that one, I think. The former Premier League striker with us this afternoon on 5 Sports Extra. Actually, smart speaker to players as well if you're just about to get home. Or BBC Sounds too. 5 Live, the home of Premier League Sundays, and bringing you over the next 4 years more Premier League football than anybody else. As the stretch comes from Yates, and then Aina on the far side touchline. He just about kept that in on the white paint on that far side. The cross in is a poor one from Jota Silva. Newcastle have it with Guimaraes just outside their own 18-yard box. Yates tries to come in from behind. Newcastle have worked that away quite well there, and forward they come with Tonali over the halfway line. He's got options to his right and left. Here comes the overlap from Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes slows it up, then gets it on his right foot. Low shot in, and that's the game for Newcastle United. And Eddie Howe's 600th league match as a manager. The double fist clench from the Newcastle boss. Harvey Barnes sneaks it in at the near post, and in this second half, Newcastle have utilised complete control. Forest have been stalled after their fine start to the season. It is Forest 1, Newcastle 3.
Yeah, it's a lovely touch by Harvey Barnes just inside his own half, where passes it to Tonali, and then he gets it. I said about his pace on that left hand side, you've seen it there. He got up with Tonali, who's on the left hand side. He then takes it inside, threatens to come inside on his right foot as if he's going to play what we've seen with Joe Linton going to that far post and sort of hits it towards this near post and dummies Matt Sells. It's a fantastic finish, but a lovely little touch there for him to play to Guimaraes, who then goes to Tonali, and now, as you see, Harvey Barnes one-on-one against Milenkovic. He just takes it inside and then just wrong foots Matt Sells. Great finish.
Yeah, Sells fell to his backside. I wonder if he could see less than he wanted to of that ball, but squeezed in between the right leg of Sells and the base of the left-hand post. Harvey Barnes makes it 4 goals for the season for him in the Premier League. And, well, the sub's done it.
It's the old Ole Gunnar Solskjaer finish, isn't it? Through the legs of the defender. That's what he always used to say. That's where he tries it. Always takes the keeper by surprise. But a fantastic finish. And what you see Harvey Barnes do a load of times, not only for Newcastle but for Leicester as well.
Taiwo Awoniyi about to come on, as is James Ward-Prowse. But the danger is for Nottingham Forest that this game has gone away from them. Forest 1, Newcastle 3. Manchester United also have 3 now. Alejandro Garnacho has put them 3-0 up against Forest East Midlands rivals Leicester City. So both East Midlands clubs in the Premier League this afternoon suffering by 3 goals. Cross comes in looking for the near post, and Alex Moreno, it's cleared away by Newcastle. Out towards the far side it comes again though from Forest. Substitute Elliot Anderson, not a happy game against his former club that he left in the summer. Here's Ola Aina. Anderson tries to get the turn. Elanga will drop the shoulder. Elanga might be able to get a cross in here looking for Chris Wood, but again, for the second time in a couple of minutes, Nick Pope able to gather ahead of the Forest striker at his near post.
Yeah, starting to get good crosses in the box now, but just that one there was just too close for Nick Pope. Dan Bain with a fantastic clearance here just earlier on when Aina put the ball in. Yeah, but Forest, better from Forest, good reaction. We just see now Ward-Prowse and Awoniyi coming on. Can they bring a little spark for them and get them back into this game, because something needs to be done.
Ball with Guimaraes just outside of the centre circle. Now it's moved to the left-hand side of the field for Newcastle, the far side as we look at it in the closing stages then of this game. Forest led in the first half. In the second half, 3 goals from Newcastle United. Might see them take all 3 points. They have a great record here, heading for their 4th win in a row at the City Ground. Spoils were taken by the away side in both games last season between the pair. It could get even worse here for Forest. Cher got forward and it needed Murillo to intercept the 2 number 5s.
Yeah, playing a 1-2 with Isaac. He played it into Isaac and then went going, and Isaac gave him it back. Murillo had to step in, but yeah.
Nosebleed territory for Fabian Cher on that one.
Nosebleed territory, yeah.
Here come Forest again. They get one now. We're in for an exciting finish. But each second that ebbs away is one that benefits Newcastle United. Here's Moreno. He's got past one in Livramento. His cross comes in. Cleared away by Newcastle. Murillo drifts that one towards the penalty spot. Downward header by Elanga. Away from Newcastle again. Here's Anderson moving to the far side right of the field. 4 minutes to go. Newcastle leading this one by 3 goals to 1 on Sports Extra. Aina was lining one up there, I think, from 30 yards, thought better of it. Here's Ryan Yates just shifting the ball away from the edge of the D. Now it will be the long-range driver from Milenkovic, blocked off, always ambitious. Jota Silva goes in, always stretching for the ball. And Anthony Taylor says that's going to be a free kick to Newcastle. He goes in behind of Tonali.
Yeah, good defensive work and shape from Newcastle there. Made it go back, keep going back. They couldn't find anything. Forest were trying to find that ball in between the defenders, only showing them outside. Milenkovic has to step in, and then he's hitting a shot from 30 yards, which Nick Pope will be happy with and happy to deal with. But Tonali gets out there, blocks it, and then he buys a free kick. Tonali from Jota, overstretched.
So Elanga and Moreno are the 2 that depart as Taiwo Awoniyi comes on, as does James Ward-Prowse, absent from the side against his former club last week in that 3-0 win for Forest over West Ham. Ward-Prowse takes his place on the field of play. 2.5 minutes to go. Forest 1, Newcastle 3. Away it goes from Nick Pope on that free kick from just outside his own penalty area, up towards the Forest box. Forest in control. Sosa. Of Tonali last? No, of Sosa last. Double deflection. So, free kick, throw-in rather, right in front of Eddie Howe, the Newcastle manager, on this near side, which is Newcastle's right. Newcastle finding their scoring boots. They came into today's game averaging a goal a game. Well, they've just dragged that average up a little bit, leading by 3-1, 3 second half goals this afternoon. Livramento loses possession, not for long, because Elliot Anderson couldn't get control of it either. Sean Longstaff sends it out towards the far side left. Here's Guimaraes inside the centre circle, and goes down. So another free kick to Newcastle, one that they'll take their time over.
Yeah, of course. Now they do want to see the game out. Guimaraes keeps hold of the ball probably a bit longer than that, and Ryan Yates all over him trying to win the ball back, just getting a bit desperate now. But that's the second time Anderson's been dispossessed in his own half, and they were able to switch it, Newcastle, and then get control back into the game. Anderson's come on, he looks a more frustrated figure because he's not been able to get into the game.
Well, Forest had every right to come into this game feeling confident. Their fans certainly were. Newcastle have quietened them down a little bit this afternoon. Some fans just heading for the exits a little early, not believing that their team will get back into this game. We're into the final minute. Newcastle leading by 3-1, plus whatever's added on. There'll be a little bit. We've had a couple of injuries for the referee Anthony Taylor and his officials to sort out. Michael Salisbury, the fourth official, about to show us in a few seconds just how much added time. Ball back with the Forest goalkeeper Matt Sells, who's in sky blue this afternoon. Nick Pope's been in green for the 90 minutes. Traditional colours are the red of Forest and the black and white of Newcastle on the outfield players. Sells out towards the left centre-back position of Murillo, who will bring it forward up towards the halfway line. 7 minutes, so this isn't done yet.
No, and I thought it was going to be high because the amount of subs we've had as well. So yeah, a real big 7 minutes now for Forest. Can they get a goal back and start putting a bit of pressure on Newcastle? But at this moment in time, Newcastle in control.
Oh, header over the bar from Dan Byrne. Cross came in from Aina on the right hand side. Awonyi was in there. Chris Wood not quite ready to pounce on that occasion. But this is a set piece here.
I can't believe James Ward-Prowse is not on the set piece. He's the best set piece taker in the world. Why isn't he taking it?
Yeah, he's waiting on the edge of the penalty area because this corner is going to be taken by Elliot Anderson. Ramon Sosa just jogs into the penalty area. In it goes, near post, headed away. Bon Tonali read it well, and it will be a Nottingham Forest throw-in instead. It's come back out towards this near side. Aina, who is the long throw specialist, isn't going to have time to wipe the ball on a towel. He wants to get this into the penalty area. The first minute of 7 has elapsed. Forest 1, Newcastle 3. Aina throws that towards the penalty spot. A long searching throw. Awonyi will race out towards the far side up against Lewis Hall. Ward-Prowse tries to deliver an early cross in. That's blocked off by Harvey Barnes, who is the man who's put Newcastle 2 clear in this game. Aina mops it up. It's into the centre circle for Murillo.
Yeah, big moments now for... But again, there you go, Mike. That's the quality there. You know, James Ward-Prowse wasn't able to get the crossover. Really good block from Harvey Barnes, and then Murillo just giving the ball away now and giving momentum back to Newcastle, who can go on the counter.
With Tonali, right hand side, Isak goes with him down the inside channel. All over the back of Isak is Elliot Anderson. A goal in the Scottish Premier League to tell you about. Kilmarnock 0, Celtic 1. And Tonali tried to play that off the feet of Milenkovic, didn't happen, so he's just effectively kicked that out for a goal kick. 2 minutes of the 7 have gone. Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle United 3. Chelsea Arsenal on 5 Live from 4:30. Now the closing stages of Manchester United against Leicester, where United lead 3-0 on 5 Live right now. A grandstand finish at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where Spurs are trailing Ipswich by 2-1. What a result that will be for Kieran McKenna's side. Milenkovic on the near side touchline brings it infield. Now the ball in the centre circle. Nottingham Forest trailing Newcastle by 3-1. Out towards the far side touchline it goes. Now Ryan Yates, who just tries to dart past Bruno Guimaraes, actually comes back down the touchline. Infield it goes to James Ward-Prowse, who's not had that chance to deliver a dangerous ball into the box. That is a long-range strike from Murillo. who's claiming a deflection. Nick Pope had a little skip in his step. It was always rising, but like an arrow, it flew towards goal, 40 yards out, if not more, and just over the crossbar.
Yeah, desperate times, isn't it? And he's come from 40 yards out, but Nick Pope, seen it all the way, just knows his angles and just lets it go over the bar to waste a little bit more time now and see these minutes out.
I've seen worse strikes from 40 yards. Murillo's already got one today.
I've probably done a few of them, mate.
I didn't want to name names. The ball out for a throw-in on this near side. 7 minutes of added time shown. We've had 3.5 of those. Here's Anderson with the throw-in near side, the left for Nottingham Forest, who are trying to find a route back into this game. There is still a little bit more time. Here is Milenkovic, just to the left of the centre circle. Those Forest fans that started to leave saw 7 minutes added on, just stayed in their seats for a bit. Now as time goes to show just 3 minutes remaining and Forest needing 2 goals, they are now once again heading for the exits. Joe Linton, he's pulled down cheaply by Anderson. No need for that. Free kick given, no card given.
No card given, no. But I said earlier, he'll be feeling it, obviously, against his old club. Very frustrated since he's come on, lost the ball a couple of times, not been the usual quality what he's shown and what I've seen from Anderson, but he'll just be really disappointed that he's losing to his own town club and his club, you know. So been a frustrating day for Forest, but one they can sort of, when they're looking back and they look over it, how they've started in the last 11 games, it's been a fantastic start, and that's what they've got to do.
Yeah, that'll be it, won't it? It'll feel deflating tonight, but when you look in the perspective, to be third after 11 games is better than any season they produced on the return to the Premier League. Here is Jota Silva crossing from the right hand side. Wood will go to the back post, heads it into the middle of the 6-yard box, too close to Nick Pope, gives Awoniyi no chance, and it will be a comfortable gather for the Newcastle goalkeeper. 2 minutes to go, and with that latest stalled attack from Forest, it is yet a signal for more to leave the City ground.
Yeah, I think that everyone's give up hope now, and they're trying to get home, get to the exits and get themselves home. And as I said though, but they've got to be proud of this for Nottingham Forest side. They're a good team. They've done really well this season, you know. And Newcastle are no mugs. They're going to be there or thereabouts in Europe this year again. You know, beat Arsenal last week. So plenty to be proud of at Nottingham Forest at the minute, but today hasn't been their day.
Yeah, good result for Newcastle, takes them up to 8th in the Premier League, 18 points from 11 games. They are only a point off Nottingham Forest. That from 3rd down to 9th, separated by a point. It is going to be a really interesting Premier League season. We're speaking to Ilkay Gundogan last night, who said, as Manchester City remain, at their peak, others are catching up, others are playing well, others are closing that gap, and maybe we're seeing that now in the Premier League. Liverpool out in front, 5-point gap between them and Manchester City. Then there's a 4-point gap as it stands between City and Forest, but Chelsea could go within 2 points of Manchester City, as could Arsenal, depending on what they do. 4:30 this afternoon. Live commentary on 5 Live coming up at that one. Headed away by Shai. Early delivery in for the box from Forest on the right hand side. Bruno Guimaraes gets up to the edge of the centre circle. We're into the final 30 seconds of the 7 minutes that were added on, and Newcastle here suddenly had 3-on-1. Harvey Barnes into the penalty area. Harvey Barnes sends it behind the goal, and that really would have crowned off a wonderful second half for Newcastle United. He didn't goal kick.
Yeah, it was a lovely counter-attacking move, and Isaac again finding him. And Harvey Barnes, he should actually just roll it down the side, and Tonali would be there for a simple tap-in. But obviously feeling good. I said he's going to be a danger with his pace coming down that left-hand side, and you've seen it there again. Should hit the target though. That's the only thing I'll call him out on. But great move from Newcastle. Forest just probably wanted to be over now.
Alexander Isak gets a standing ovation from the Newcastle fans. I say standing ovation, they were stood up anyway. They have been throughout most of the game.
Yeah. Oh, they won't be sitting down. Never. Unbelievable fans.
He's off. He's replaced by William Osula, who comes on for his 4th substitute appearance of the season. There goes the full-time whistle then. Nottingham Forest beaten at home in a rout of a second half for Newcastle United, who had control throughout the game, really. They were behind with Murillo's header in the first half, but Alexander Isak, Joe Linton and Harvey Barnes, the substitute in the second half, and helped Eddie Howe's side to 3 points in the manager's 600th game in charge. Manager of the month curse for Nuno Espirito Santo. His side beaten just days after winning the award. No goals either for Chris Wood, who got October's Player of the Month award. His first stalled game without a goal in 5. But truth be told, Newcastle deserved the win that they've got at the City Ground. They're into the top half. Forest remain third for now. But with that Chelsea-Arsenal game to come later, that will change. It is at full time. Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle United 3.
Yeah, I think you've just summed it up well there, Mike. It was definitely Newcastle's day. Forest weren't really at the races, although they went 1-0 up through a good set piece and a good run by Murillo. After that, you sort of sensed that it was up to Newcastle then. Can they break down this Forest side? They did through a set piece. They had a lot of good opportunities on the counter, but then when obviously Harvey Barnes come on, I mentioned it as he come on with his pace down that side, he was able to unlock the defence. Joe Linton with a lovely finish, in either side of them 2 goals from Isak and Barnes. But yeah, I think the right team won today. I think they got what they deserved in the 3-1. It could have been a couple more, but Forest have got to be proud of what they're doing at this moment in time. They've got to keep confident, got to take real good form into the Christmas period. At this moment in time, it's going to feel like a sort of blow, but it's only a little blow. They've got to take it really important now going into Christmas for them. But Newcastle, what a win for them and Eddie Howe, and now they're looking up again.
What won it today, Kevin Nolan? Was it just simply the control Newcastle dominated throughout?
I think the control they had throughout the game, but it was the quality in the final third. I spoke about it, Forest had lots of opportunities to hit them on the counter when they were at that 1-0, and they just missed that final pass or missed the finish. We talked about the Dominguez finish, where if Dominguez finishes or they then go down the other end, they get the corner, which then leads to Newcastle's first goal. But there was times when Morgan Scouts-White had the opportunities to play Elanga in or Hudson-Odoi in, and they just didn't find that pass. And I think, but on the other opposite side, Isak, when they got the ball into Isak, he looked potent, he looked like a danger, looked like a threat. Willock was a threat all day, Joe Linton obviously, and then Harvey Barnes coming on at the end, to seal it.
Live Rugby Union coming next on Sports Extra. Just very quickly, Kevin Nolan, final question. Third international break of the season, 11 games in. After this we get a straight run through to March. Where are both clubs?
Yeah, I think Forest will be looking that they want to stay in that top 10 going into March, and Newcastle are going to be trying to get into that top 4 again because they want Champions League football back. Forest have had a few tricky seasons over the last couple of seasons in terms of just finishing above the relegation, so great start, want to stay in that top 10. Newcastle aiming for that top 4.
Kevin Nolan, thank you very much.
Thanks,
former
Mike.
Premier League striker with us on 5 Sports Extra. Chelsea Arsenal on BBC Radio 5 Live from 4:30 is a blockbuster of a game at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League. Next up on Sports Extra, Scotland against South Africa in the Autumn International Series. That's Live Rugby Union for you. Here at the City Ground, it is finished. Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle United 3.